Chapter 188. Su Yu, Mo Wu, and the other 20 disciples stood side by side, staring at the horizon. Under the guidance of the faction master and many elders, they arrived at the place where the ancient Xianyun temple would descend. They had already waited for more than half a day. As the sun rose from the east, a pitch-black shadow accompanied the clouds and slowly flew over. The ancient Xianyun temple is here. The black figure seemed slow, but it was actually fast. As they spoke, it flew over and landed on top of everyone's heads. It was a dilapidated and desolate ancient temple, tens of thousands of feet in size. After it descended, it covered the sky and the sun, causing the sky to darken. Wisps of heart-palpitating energy filled the surroundings of the ancient temple. Everyone instantly felt tiny. Under this kind of energy, it was as if they would be crushed in an instant. Even someone as powerful as the Lucian faction master was terrified. Layers of white clouds gathered around the ancient temple. At first glance, it looked like a celestial cloud was surrounding it. This was the origin of the ancient Xianyun temple's name. So you fixed his gaze on it. The vicissitudes of time were engraved on the green stone floor. Mottled marks covered the ancient temple. A terrifying palm print was left on the top of the ancient temple. This caused Su Yu to mutter. Another civilization that was destroyed by a giant palm? The Lucian faction master had a look of anticipation. How much you can obtain depends on your individual performance. The ancient temple is split into 3 levels. The first level is the meteorite forest. Occasionally, ancient treasures are hidden within the meteorites, such as elixirs and techniques. But your mission is to quickly find the advancement stone hidden within the meteorites. Only then can you enter the second level. If you do not find the advancement stone within an hour, you will be transported out of the ancient Xianyun temple. Remember, do not waste any time. The second level is the Sky Garden. This is the place where you can obtain your destinies. Within the Sky Garden, there are many rare medicinal herbs. They have been growing for a long time and are extremely powerful. Most of them have medicinal powers comparable to top-grade marrow cleansing elixirs. There are even legendary medicinal herbs that are superior to top-grade marrow cleansing elixirs. Consuming one would not be a problem to break through to the dragon realm. If you are lucky, it is possible to break through 2 dragon realms. But in the garden, there are many dangerous spiritual snakes, bees, and rats. Once you are bitten by them, you will immediately be poisoned and on the verge of death. Then, you will be transported out of the ancient Xianyun temple. So remember, do not be greedy. The third level, Eternal Stairs. No disciple is allowed to enter this level. The Lucian faction master warned sternly. Everyone was apprehensive. In the first 2 levels, once you meet with danger, the ancient Xianyun temple will automatically teleport you out. However, once you enter the 3rd level, you will never be able to return. In the past, all the missing disciples were trapped in the eternal heaven stairs. Once you enter this level, you will fall into a never-ending staircase that will trap you to death. There is no exception. Therefore, no one is allowed to enter the 3rd level. No exceptions? Su Yu's heart turned cold. How many heaven rulers had appeared in the Lucian faction in the past? Those who went and never returned? All right, remember my words. No one was allowed to enter the 3rd level. Now all of you set off immediately. The master of the Lucian faction and the various elders worked together to open a passage for one person through the giant black door of the ancient Xianyun temple. Quick, we can only hold on for 20 breaths. Each of us only has 1 breath's time to enter. The Lucian faction master shouted in a low voice. Swish, swish, swish. One by one, the figures immediately entered. 20 people entered in the blink of an eye. Boom! The giant door closed. Everyone, including the sect master, had pale faces. It was extremely strenuous. I hope they have gained something. We will wait outside. The Lucian faction master's eyes were filled with anticipation. His only disciple, Ji Hongxue, was his only hope. The 10 great elders also had expressions of anticipation as they stood quietly. Clang! Su Yu had just stepped into the ancient temple when he felt a giant object crash toward him. His expression changed. Without thinking, he raised his palm and struck it. At that moment, a sound like steel being struck could be heard. Crack! Even though the object had been shattered by Su Yu felt a slight pain in his palm. Looking at it, it was a floating rock that had been smashed by his fist. The rock was the size of a head. Its surface was filled with holes, and there were signs that it had been burned. Some strange impurities were embedded in the rock. Meteorite? Su Yu's mind shook. He looked up, and his pupils shrank. Such a huge space was at least 50 miles wide. The sky was densely packed with floating meteorites. They were of different sizes. The smallest was the size of a fist, while the biggest was the size of a small mountain. They were in a mess, floating slowly and colliding with each other occasionally. A small meteorite had collided with him. Why are you in a daze? Quickly attack the meteorites and look for an advancement stone. A graceful figure flashed past him, leaving behind a light shout. Mo Wu had a nervous expression. She destroyed the meteorites, looking for an advancement stone. Just as Su Yu was about to search, Yun Yazi leisurely said, "A legacy relic? Not bad." Su Yu's lips twitched. The legacy that the Lucian faction viewed as its foundation was considered not bad by Yun Yazi. Su Yu had no time to argue with him. He destroyed the small meteorite beside him with a punch. Apart from a slight pain in his fist, he did not gain anything. Using such a stupid method, you would not be able to find it even if you destroyed it with your fist. Su Yu's eyes lit up. Elder Yun Yazi, can you help me find it? Haha, I have said before that I will only help you cultivate. I will not interfere in your matters. Just as Su Yu was feeling disappointed, he heard Yun Yazi's light laughter. I will not interfere, but I will teach you how to do it. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. You have innate soul talent. If you do not use it, it would be a waste, Yun Yazi said. Watch carefully. After his speech, a weak soul ripple was suddenly emitted from the jade box. It was like a wave, spreading in all directions. A portion of it passed through the meteorites and shot into the distance. A small portion of it bounced back after colliding with the meteorites. Su Yu's eyes flashed. He flew to the front of a meteorite that was emitting the soul ripple and smashed it with a punch. Within it was a rotten, ancient treasure sword. This scene caused the expressions of the crowd to turn cold. Your luck is not bad. Chao Xian glanced at the useless rotten item and let out a cold laugh. Su Yu was shocked. What was going on? Bats can emit ultrasonic waves. When they come into contact with a foreign object, the sound waves will be reflected. It is the same for soul ripples. This is the simplest way to use the soul. Try it. It can be done like that. Su Yu immediately tried. However, he could not even emit a ripple the first time he used it. But he was not discouraged. He tried 10 times in a row and finally managed to form a soul ripple. Moreover, it could only be emitted 1 meter around his body. It was far from Yun Yazi's boundless ripple. To be able to succeed 1 out of 10 times on your first try, your soul talent is not bad. Yun Yazi rarely gave praise. The phrase "not bad" was the highest praise Su Yu had ever heard. Of all the things that Su Yu had learned, it seemed that his soul talent was indeed the best. With such a support, Su Yu's next steps were much easier. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. While the crowd was busy smashing the meteorites, Su Yu was flying around randomly, gathering a large number of meteorites. He then stood in front of the meteorites and tried hard to emit soul ripples. Out of 10 attempts, he only succeeded once. Oh, there it is. Su Yu found one of the 10 meteorites that could reflect the soul ripple. Filled with anticipation, he blasted it open. It was a rotten jade bottle, another rotten item. However, just as Su Yu was feeling disappointed, he suddenly noticed that there was a black elixir left in the jade bottle. As it had been preserved in the jade bottle, it was still intact. What? He found the ancient elixir. The people who were paying attention to Su Yu's strange behavior cried out in surprise. Chao Xian's pupils dilated. What? Ancient elixir? Whoosh, whoosh. Sounds of something breaking through the air reverberated in the first level. Even Ji Hongxue and Shun Jiuyin flew over curiously. In the forest of meteorites, elixirs did appear, but they were extremely rare. More of them were advancement stones. Elixirs would only appear once every 10 advancement stones. Suyu's luck was too good. He had found an ancient elixir in half a cup of tea's time. Only the people who were paying attention to Suyu knew that this was not luck. Suyu had used a strange method to see through the meteorites. Seeing many people flying over, Suyu's expression turned cold. He smashed the jade bottle with a punch, grabbed the elixir, and threw it into his mouth. Crunch! The elixir was crushed by Suyu's teeth and swallowed on the spot. The people who had rushed over could not help but be angry. "Can't you let's take a look?" Suyu calmly said. "I can let you take a look, but I'm afraid that after you take a look, the elixir will no longer belong to me." This place was far from the faction, and the only rule was ability. Once the elixir was discovered to be valuable, it would inevitably be snatched by others. Hence, regardless of the consequences, it was best to swallow it. Yun Yazi, who was in Suyu's embrace, could not help but laugh. "Aren't you afraid of being poisoned?" Suyu calmly replied. "How do you know that I ate it?" Yun Yazi scanned Suyu with his soul and was shocked to discover that in Suyu's stomach there was a lump of ice encasing the crushed elixir. If there was poison, he could spit it out immediately. Consider yourself lucky. This elixir is called Black Wind Elixir. It is not poisonous, but it is not beneficial to your cultivation level. It is used to strengthen your sex drive. Yun Yazi teased. Strengthen his sex drive? Suyu's face turned green and red. But the medicinal properties have already dissipated and are no longer effective. You can crush the elixir and expel the black particles from your body through your pores. Suyu thought for a moment. Forget it. There are many people here. If I expel the black particles hastily, it might cause a misunderstanding. Let's find an advancement stone first. After which, Suyu did the same thing. First, he gathered a pile of meteorites. Then he used his soul ripples to explore the path, crushing the meteorites that contained foreign objects. Even so, Suyu spent close to 10 tries and examined hundreds of meteorites before he finally found an advancement stone. Suyu has already obtained an advancement stone. Many people cried out at the same time. There were many people paying attention to Suyu. Suyu held a round black stone in his hand. It was covered with a faint space energy. After crushing it, he could immediately be transported to the second level of the Sky Garden. Hence, he did not need to worry about others snatching it. Because, in times of danger, Suyu could leave the meteorite forest at any time. With this, Suyu was not in a hurry to go to the Sky Garden. Instead, he continued to do the same thing, boldly searching for treasures. Seeing Suyu flying around, accurately crushing a meteorite every time, obtaining some treasures from time to time, and even obtaining 3 advancement stones, they could only watch helplessly. Now, 10 minutes had passed. More than half the time had passed, but none of them had obtained an advancement stone. If this continued, all of them would be transported out. Finally, someone could not sit still any longer. Chao Xian's gaze turned cold, lightly scolding. "Suyu, 1 advancement stone is enough. There are 2 extra stones. Why don't you let everyone else use them?" As he spoke, he approached like lightning. Chapter 189. Suyu calmly looked at him. There is no free lunch in this world. If you want the advancement stone, you naturally have to pay the price. The people present were all intelligent people, and they understood the meaning behind Suyu's words. In other words, as long as they paid the price, the advancement stone in Suyu's hands could be given to them. Whoosh! 3 figures flew past Suyu at the same time. "Stop! We are all disciples of the faction. How can we kill each other?" The 3 Dragon Realm disciples stared at Chao Xian. If Suyu was forced to use the advancement stone and leave, the remaining 2 advancement stones would be wasted. Chao Xian's cheeks twitched, stopping in his tracks, coldly staring at Suyu. "What do I have to do for you to exchange for the advancement stone?" The 3 Dragon Realm disciples looked over with questioning gazes, staring greedily at the remaining advancement stones in Suyu's hands. Suyu shook his head. "There is no need to exchange. You just have to help me with one thing." "What is it?" The 3 Dragon Realm disciples creased their brows. Suyu's gaze flickered. "I will wait here. Help me gather the meteorites. After shattering them, if there is an advancement stone, I will give it to you." If there is anything else, it will all belong to me. It was still too slow for him to gather meteorites alone. He might as well command them to gather the meteorites and search for the hidden treasures within. You mean to say that we will be used by you? The expressions of the three Dragon Realm disciples, including Chao Xian, turned ugly. They were the elites of the faction, proud and arrogant. How could they tolerate being ordered around by someone of the same cultivation level? Suyu shrugged. If you are unwilling, you can learn from Ji Hongxue and Shun Jiuyin. Shatter the stars yourselves. Ji Hongxue and Shun Jiuyin had powerful cultivation levels, able to shatter 5 meteorites in one move. In terms of searching speed, they were only half as fast as Suyu. Finding the advancement stone was only a matter of time, but they did not have such power. They could only shatter 1 meteorite at a time. With time running out, their fates were clear. The 3 Dragon Realm disciples clenched their teeth. Fine, we agree. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 3 figures flew in all directions, quickly gathering 30 meteorites. Suyu used his soul ripple to scan the meteorites 3 times before he was done. One meteorite had a strange object. After shattering it, it was a piece of broken metal, useless. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's just continue searching. Suyu was helpless. Although the 3 Dragon Realm disciples were disappointed, their efficiency in finding teleportation stones had increased tenfold. Even though they were not willing to be ordered around, they still started to look around. Finally, after 3 tries, a teleportation stone appeared. Suyu kept his word and gave it to the person who found it. Thank you, junior apprentice brother Su. The person who received the teleportation stone cried out in joy. He immediately crushed the teleportation stone and entered the 2nd level of the Sky Garden. This scene caused many people who had yet to find teleportation stones to be overjoyed. Junior brother Su, please lend me a hand. Me too. I only want the teleportation stone. Everything else belongs to junior brother. 10 disciples of the Dragon Realm flew to the sky and scurried to the ground, quickly gathering batch after batch of meteorites. In just half a cup of tea's time, Suyu had detected more than 300 meteorites. There were more than 10 teleportation stones. There were 50 to 60 useless foreign objects. Other than that, he also obtained a bottle of colorful pollen. According to Yun Yazi, this was a rare pollen from ancient times. The 5-color pollen was now extinct. It could be used to brew the 100-flower honey. In ancient times, it was hard to obtain even with money, but the method to brew it had long been lost. The pollen alone was not beneficial to cultivation, causing Suyu to be disappointed. In the process, Ji Hongxue and Shun Jiuyin destroyed the meteorites in a large area, successfully finding teleportation stones. 5 lucky disciples also relied on their luck to find teleportation stones. The remaining 5 were arrogant, unwilling to listen to Suyu's commands, and unlucky. This included Chao Xian and Mo Wu. In the last half a cup of tea's time, only the 5 of them had not found a teleportation stone. Suyu obtained a black wind elixir that had lost its effects, a bottle of 5-color pollen, and 3 teleportation stones. Seeing that there were only 5 or 6 people left, Suyu rose. It was time to head to the 2nd level of the Sky Garden. According to the master, that was the place to obtain opportunities. Whoosh! But at that moment, a petite figure floated in front of Suyu. It was Mo Wu. She stood quietly in front of Suyu, her icy face blushing. She bit her lips, wanted to say something, but hesitating. Her hands were subconsciously clenched together, showing her inner struggle. Suyu was slightly stunned. He had just noticed that Mo Wu had not obtained a teleportation stone. Just as he was about to speak, Mo Wu opened her red lips. Suyu, I will help you gather meteorites. Suyu, I will help you gather meteorites. If there are any advancement stones, give them to me, okay? Hearing her pleading voice, Suyu felt that it was unfamiliar. In his memory, Mo Wu was a loner. To think that she would reveal a pleading attitude. Whoosh! Suyu casually threw a teleportation stone over, smiling as he shook his head. No need. Senior has helped me many times. It is just a teleportation stone. Just take it. Mo Wu froze, instinctively grabbing it. With the teleportation stone in her hand, she felt at ease. But someone as cold and arrogant as her could not accept someone's kindness for no reason. Clenching her teeth, Mo Wu flew into the distance, leaving behind a determined voice. Stay where you are. I will help you find meteorites. Whoosh! At this moment, 3 of the remaining 4 arrived in front of Su Yu. Chao Xian was arrogant and had a deep grudge with Su Yu. Naturally, he could not lower himself to seek Su Yu's help. The other 3 were ranked 5th, 6th, and 7th among the 10 great disciples. Among them, ranked 5th was Chan Yunfei, a Dragon Realm level 1 peak, almost on par with Mo Wu. Ranked 6th was Chan Leiyun, Chan Yunfei's younger brother, a Dragon Realm level 1 upper tier. Among the Dragon Realm level 1 upper tier, he was the strongest. The 2 of them were biological brother and sister. Both of them were ranked among the 10 great disciples of the faction. Ranked 7th was Duan Yinyu, also a Dragon Realm level 1 upper tier. He was well known and was good at controlling beasts. His abilities were extraordinary. The 3 of them were influential figures in the faction. Naturally, they would not easily lower their heads to Su Yu. But with Su Yu's help, the 10 people who were weaker than them all entered the 2nd level. Only the 3 of them were in dire straits. They had yet to find a teleportation stone in 3/4 of the time. With only 1/4 of the time remaining, their chances were slim. Chan Yunfei had an oval face and skin as white as snow. Even though her figure was slender, she was curvaceous. She wore a floral dress that could not hide her alluring body. At this moment, her cheeks were slightly red and her eyes were blinking. Her throat was like a melodious melody. Junior Su, I beg for your help. Su Yu creased his brows. He had no time to stay any longer and needed to rush to the Sky Garden as soon as possible. Seeing his hesitation, Chan Yunfei thought to herself, could it be that Su Yu is taking advantage of the situation and wants to increase the stakes? Thinking to this point, her heart was filled with regret. If she had known this would happen, she would not have let her emotions affect her decisions. If she had put down her pride and listened to Su Yu's instructions, things would not have come to this. Biting her pink lips, Chan Yunfei bowed. Junior Su, if you have any other requests, please let me know. I will definitely fulfill them. Bending her waist, her slender waist made it hard for anyone to not want to go forward and embrace her. At the same time, her neckline hung down naturally. 2 heart-stirring round balls were reflected in Su Yu's eyes at a subtle angle. On her snow-white breasts, 2 proudly bright red protrusions were incomparably clear. Coupled with her pleading words, any man would have their imagination run wild. Sister, we will not beg him. At most, we will back out. Chan Leiyun, compared to his beautiful and slender sister, had a burly figure and a rough face. Seeing his proud sister bending down and begging someone, he could not bear to see it. Chan Yunfei had a bitter expression. If it was possible, she did not want to beg anyone. But the ancient Xianyun Temple was held once every 5 years. If she missed this year, she would not have another chance. This was a turning point in her life. Even if it was humiliating, she had to lower her head. Even if it meant losing something precious. The soul-stirring scene of the snowy peak made Su Yu embarrassed, and he subconsciously averted his gaze. After some thought, he nodded his head helplessly. All right, hurry up. Hearing this, Chan Yunfei was elated. Su Yu did not have any excessive requests, making her overjoyed. Thank you, Junior Su. Her pretty face was slightly red, her eyes filled with gratitude and surprise. Chan Yunfei thanked him again and left. Collect the meteorites. Strangely, Duan Yinyu also chased after Chan Yunfei, his eyes filled with infatuation. Chao Xian gritted his teeth, and there was a hint of panic on his face. At this moment, Chan Yunfei, Chan Leiyun, and Duan Yinyu had gathered a large number of fallen stars and returned. Although he was panting, he could not hide his anticipation. Su Yu examined them one by one, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch after he shattered them. Among the 30 meteorites, there were actually 3 teleportation stones. Their good luck made Suyu feel jealous. Thank you, junior brother Su. Yunfei will remember this kindness in my heart. Chan Yunfei was filled with gratitude, and her beautiful eyes were filled with ripples. Suyu waved his hand casually. It doesn't matter. You should quickly go. After taking a deep look at Suyu's back, Chan Yunfei and the other two were transported away. On the first level, only Suyu, Mo Wu, and Chao Xian were left. Only Chao Xian was still bitterly searching for the teleportation stone. The urgency in his heart could be imagined. Seeing that there were only a few minutes left, Chao Xian frantically shattered the meteors. But the teleportation stone did not appear. Large beads of sweat appeared on Chao Xian's forehead as his heart burned with anxiety. Clenching his teeth, Chao Xian tried his best to restrain the gentleness in his eyes. Junior brother, we have misunderstood. Can we put aside this matter for now? You still haven't teleportation stone with you. If you're willing to give it to me, I am willing to pay any price. The ancient Xianyun Temple was a trial that occurred once every 5 years. Anyone who experienced it could at least break through to the next level of the Dragon Realm. In fact, it could even break through to the next 3 levels of the Dragon Realm. If he missed it, Chao Xian would be thrown out of the top 10 and would not be able to participate in the upcoming Alliance meet. Even if he could enter again 5 years later, he would be far behind. Any price. Suyu turned his head meaningfully, a faint smile on his lips. Hearing this, Chao Xian was elated. It seemed like there was a possibility of negotiation. As long as I can do it, I will definitely agree. Chao Xian's eyes were filled with hope. All right. Suyu nodded his head, his expression turning cold. You once wanted to lay your hands on Xian, right? The price I want is for you to never have such thoughts again. Chao Xian thought for a moment and swore to the heavens. I, Chao Xian, swear in the name of my master, I will never, the 10th elder? Ha! What is the point of using the name of such a despicable person? Suyu mocked. Chao Xian's tone became stifled, feeling that time was pressing. He was anxious and said in a low voice, What kind of promise do you want? Promise? I do not believe in any promises. I only want you to do one thing for me. Suyu's eyes were filled with mockery. Chapter 190. Suyu let out an unfathomable laugh. Very simple. That is, to castrate yourself. Only then will I believe that you will not have any thoughts about Xianer. How could a eunuch be interested in a woman? Castrate yourself? These 4 words were like thunder, causing Chao Xian's entire body to tremble. The humiliation of being fooled turned into fury. Su, feather, don't go too far. Ha! Suyu laughed, his eyes overflowing with coldness. His words were bone-chilling. In terms of going too far, how can I, Suyu, compare to you and your master? Why did my master, Li Guang, imprison Xinyue Island for 100 years, living a miserable life? Why did my fiancé, Xianer, suffer a forced marriage and suffer? Who is the one who is going too far? Chao Xian's eyes were filled with fury, but he was speechless. Suyu's gaze was ice cold. You only have 2 choices. First, castrate yourself. Second, scram back to the outside world. I will come back to take your life once I have mastered my cultivation. Chao Xian's pupils dilated. If Suyu had previously said that he would take his life, he would have treated it as the arrogant words of an ant overestimating himself. But today, Suyu had almost caught up to him. If he had no fate with the ancient Xianyun Temple, Suyu would gain experience. As time went by, he would eventually be trampled by Suyu. With a grudge between the two of them, his head would be taken by Suyu one day. A thick sense of humiliation reverberated in his heart. Back then, on Xinyue Island, the ant who had to look up to him was now standing in front of him, forcing him to castrate himself. He had never experienced such humiliation in his entire life. Castrate himself, or give up on the ancient Xianyun Temple. Other than that, with only 2 minutes left, he had no other choice. Su, feather, are you sure you want to be my enemy forever? Chao Xian's eyes were filled with hatred and fury. Suyu did not seem to see his threat. His expression was ice cold, his teeth glinting with extreme coldness. I will give you one last chance to castrate yourself, or scram back to the outside world. Seeing that there was no room for negotiation, Chao Xian closed his eyes in humiliation. After a while, he opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with determination. He clenched his teeth so hard that they made cracking sounds. It was as if his teeth were about to break. His eyes were filled with unprecedented hatred. Good. I, Chao Xian, will remember the things you have done to me today. I will castrate myself, and you hand over the teleportation stone. I, Suyu, never go back on my words. Suyu flipped his palm and took out the last extra advancement stone. Chao Xian took out an ice-cold dagger from his chest. He clenched his teeth and glared at Suyu with hatred. Then his hand rose and the knife fell. Ah! Shrill screams resounded throughout the meteorite forest. Blood splattered everywhere, and a long, hideous black thing fell out of his crotch. Pass. Send. Sure. Because of pain and hatred, Chao Xian's eyes were blood red, and he was like a ferocious ghost that roared fiercely. Suyu's expression was calm as he flicked his finger. Shwa. Chao Xian grabbed the teleportation stone and crushed it on the spot. Spatial energy wrapped around his body and teleported him to the second floor. Before he left, he glared at Suyu fiercely and said in a fierce voice, Su, Feather, just you wait. Suyu's lips curled into a cold smile. Since I dare to give you a chance, I naturally have the confidence to step on you and never make a comeback. Whoosh! On the horizon, Mo Wu had a worried expression as she flew over hurriedly. On top of her head was a terrifyingly large meteorite. It was the size of a small hill, and it was the largest meteorite among the meteorites. It was so heavy that it would be difficult for anyone below Dragon Realm Level 2 to move it. Even Mo Wu was struggling. Her face was pale, and she was panting heavily. Her body was drenched in sweat. Her fair, jade-like hands were dripping with blood. It was obvious that moving this meteorite was extremely taxing. What happened just now? Mo Wu flew over and saw the hideous thing beneath Suyu's feet. She was stunned at first, then her face turned red. She then subconsciously glanced between her legs. Suyu's lips twitched. It's Chao Xian's exchange for an advancement stone. What? Chao Xian's? Mo Wu's thoughts turned quickly, and she roughly understood what had happened. While she was dumbfounded, she could not help but sigh. The kid who could not withstand a single blow from Chao Xian back then had now forced him to castrate himself. In just half a year, he had changed so much. Concealing the shock in her heart, Mo Wu glanced at the hideous thing, her face turning red once again. She spat and threw the giant meteorite on top of her head, grunting, I'll return it to you. I will not owe you a favor. After saying this, she crushed the advancement stone and left. Rumble, bang. The giant meteorite caused the ground to tremble. Suyu was dumbfounded. It would take a minute just to probe such a giant meteorite. Time was of the essence, and Suyu immediately used his soul ripples. Thud, thud, thud. What surprised Suyu was that it bounced back 10 times in a row. It was hard to imagine how many treasures were hidden within such a giant meteorite. But after Suyu tried, he realized that the meteorite was extremely difficult to shatter. He had gathered his blood energy and spirit energy into a punch, but he had only managed to create a crack. It was no wonder that the meteorite could exist for so long without anyone thinking about it. Only someone stronger than Dragon Realm Level 5 could blast it open. Elder Yunya. Suyu said hurriedly. This was not a battle. Calling Yunya for such a small favor did not go against his principles. Sigh, have I become so worthless? Yunya did not know whether to laugh or cry. If he was at his peak, whoever dared call him to do hard labor would have been turned to dust by him. Although he was complaining, Yunya still made his move. A wisp of his soul probed, and the giant meteorite shattered with a rumble. The treasures that were hidden within were all scattered. Most of them were useless trash. There were only 2 advancement stones and a broken jade shovel. So you thought about the advancement stones and kept them in his robes. But the broken jade shovel was the size of a palm. So you played with it for a while. The handle was intact, but the tip of the shovel was missing in half. Just as he was about to throw it away, Yinya laughed. You have eyes, but you can't tell. This jade shovel is the real treasure. It is called the exquisite jade shovel, a divine artifact used to harvest precious divine herbs. Even though it is broken, it can still be used. It is worth half of the divine ice ring. Divine artifact? Suyu shuddered. Truly precious divine herbs are pure and cannot be contaminated by filthy things. If you touch them, they will wither and turn to dust. The exquisite jade shovel is naturally pure and is the best material for harvesting divine herbs, but is difficult to refine and is rarely seen in the outside world. Keep it, it will be useful in the future. Since it was a divine artifact, Suyu naturally kept it in his robes. As such, he obtained a black wind elixir, a bottle of 5 color pollen, a broken exquisite jade shovel, and 2 advancement stones. Glancing at the 2 advancement stones, Suyu revealed a playful expression. Chao Xian's castration is really cheap. Buzz, buzz, buzz. An hour had passed, and the transportation began. Suyu immediately crushed the advancement stone, entering the 2nd level. Crash! A layer of white light swept across the meteorite forest, transporting those who had yet to enter the 2nd level out. Outside, the faction master and the 10 elders had nervous expressions. An hour has passed. Let's see how many disciples can successfully enter the 2nd level to receive their sublimations. The faction master was shocked. According to previous years, the 1st level would eliminate about half of the people. All the sect leaders and elders were worried whether their disciples would be among those who would be eliminated. But after a while, no one was transported out. The sea breeze whistled, but the faction master and elders did not move an inch, waiting patiently. After half a cup of tea's time, they were surprised. Could it be that no one was eliminated this year? The faction master was uncertain. The 2nd elder shook her head seriously. That's not possible. If only 2 or 3 were eliminated, it would still be somewhat understandable. Not a single one was eliminated. Something unexpected must have happened. I hope it is a blessing and not a curse. The 10th elder had a grave expression. Shi Ruolin, who was beside him, stared at the ancient Xianyun temple, a shred of obscure anticipation flickering deep within her eyes. Inside the ancient Xianyun temple, whoosh, Suyu felt his feet floating, landing on the ground after a while. In an instant, a fragrance, along with spirit energy, assaulted his senses. Taking in a light breath, Suyu felt indescribably comfortable, his cultivation level improving slightly. What a strong spirit energy! Suyu opened his eyes abruptly, his eyes filled with excitement. The effect of taking in a breath of air was comparable to swallowing a medium-grade marrow cleansing elixir. In other words, training in this place was like swallowing medium-grade marrow cleansing elixirs continuously. Even a pig's cultivation level would improve greatly, much less a human. It was no wonder Chao Xian would rather castrate himself than give up. The environment here is not bad. It will be beneficial to your cultivation. Yin Yazi revealed a rare look of satisfaction, testing Suyu. What do you want to do next? Look for rare herbs immediately? Suyu shook his head. No. Since we have enough time, we can stay here for 2 months. I naturally have to get a feel of the terrain first, just in case. You are calm when you encounter problems, neither greedy nor angry. This is what I admire the most about you. What happens next will depend on your luck. Nodding his head, Suyu's figure became blurry as he flew above the clouds. His crystalline pupils revolved, taking in everything within a 50-mile radius. Coupled with the fact that he was looking down from above, he could roughly see everything within 100 miles. Within 100 miles, there was a garden of blooming flowers. The fragrance of the flowers was intoxicating, and the beautiful purples and red flowers could be seen everywhere within 100 miles. Stalks of rare herbs swayed gracefully, densely packed within the garden. With a casual glance, Suyu discovered many herbs used to make top-grade marrow cleansing elixirs. Suppressing his greed, Suyu observed, his pupils dilating. He discovered that deep within the garden, There was a giant spotted snake as thick as a water bucket. It was 100 jong long. It was hidden within the bushes, motionless. Its ferocious eyes stared coldly at Suyu. Once it landed, it would pounce on Suyu and swallow him. Its cultivation level had reached the terrifying Dragon Realm level 1 lower tier. Suyu clicked his tongue, flying higher. As he continued to observe, he discovered all kinds of living creatures. There was a ladybug the size of a human, a caterpillar the size of a water tank, a rat the size of a small mountain. This place was filled with spirit energy, giving birth to a group of mutated living creatures. Their cultivation levels were at least Dragon Realm level 1 lower tier, the highest being Dragon Realm level 2. Suyu passed through the 100-mile garden with caution. What appeared in his eyes was a giant lake with a circumference of 50 miles. With just a glance, Suyu's pupils dilated. Within the lake, any fish was a Dragon Realm level 2 existence. Chapter 191. His scalp turning numb. Suyu continued to probe forward. The last area was a 10-mile flower garden. The flower garden was neatly fenced, and within it were numerous precious plants that he had never heard of before. Even from 50 miles away, Suyu could smell the shocking fragrance. Taking a light breath, Suyu's ice-based cultivation technique automatically activated. What kind of fragrance is this so shocking? Suyu's heart was thumping. Looking at the large patch of unknown plants, there were two that were extremely strange. One of them was burning with flames, emitting a high temperature. The other one was covered in icicles, like an ice sculpture. Suyu's ice-based cultivation technique automatically activated, and that was the source of the fragrance of the ice flower. After so many experiences, Suyu had never encountered a spiritual treasure that could cause his ice-based cultivation technique to automatically activate with just a single breath of fragrance. If he could swallow it, wouldn't that mean that his ice-based cultivation technique would be cultivated to its peak in an instant? Any cultivation technique was harder to cultivate as it progressed. But Suyu's intuition told him that if he swallowed this ice flower, his ice-based cultivation technique would soon be at the top class. But Suyu did not go near it. Such a shocking fragrance. But there was not a single living creature around the fence. It was as if the 10-mile flower garden was a forbidden ground to the living creatures of the sky garden. Suddenly, Suyu caught a glimpse of a thatched cottage in the flower bed. The cottage was simple and clean, but it was cold and devoid of human habitation. At that moment, a white tiger of a normal size walked out of the cottage. It had a black thunderbolt mark on its forehead, its eyes cold. Even from 50 miles away, it could feel Suyu's probing gaze. A mere holy king dares to spy on the ancient temple. Die. What surprised Suyu even more was that the white tiger could speak. Rumble. The black thunderbolt mark on its forehead flashed, and a bolt of black thunder and fire pierced through the sky, heading for Suyu. At that moment, Suyu felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and his flesh was about to crumble. Without thinking, the 50-meter-wide giant wings on his back suddenly unfurled. A pair of phoenix wings covered the sky and earth, and as they flapped, a gale swept through. With a flash of red light, Suyu disappeared from the sky. The white tiger was slightly stunned. Phoenix wings, could he be a disciple of the 9 Phoenix Cabinet? The black thunderbolt locked onto Suyu and chased after him at high speed. However, even though it was fast, it didn't have any support, so it gradually weakened. Finally, after chasing for 150 miles, it turned into black lightning and dissipated. A wisp of remnant lightning struck Suyu's Ice Phoenix Divine Feather. Boom! It was clearly a tiny bit of remnant thunder, but it exploded in an instant, causing Suyu's Ice Phoenix Divine Feather to explode into pieces. The powerful shockwave sent Suyu flying 100 meters away. His stomach trembled, and there was a metallic taste in his throat. Suyu barely managed to stop himself from flying backward. His eyes were filled with shock. What kind of divine being was this white tiger that could speak human language? His strength had surpassed the realm of dragon transformation. At the very least, he was at the level of the sect leader and the great elder. A trace of seriousness surrounded his eyes. He couldn't go there again. Just now, the white tiger had clearly attacked casually. That was how Suyu had managed to escape. If he went all out, although the ice and fire plants were precious, they were not so precious that Suyu would give up his life. Bang! Right at that moment, Suyu heard the sounds of fighting. Zhang Xian swept his gaze across the room. 3 li away, Long Fan, Yao Hong, and Rong Han Ming, who were the 3 unmatched holy kings, were currently fighting against each other. Long Fan and Rong Han Ming attacked Yao Hong from the front and back. Yao Hong's abilities were below Long Fan's, but above Rong Han Ming's. Under the pincer attack of the 2 of them, she was surrounded by perils. Crackle! Finally, seizing the opportunity, Long Fan unleashed the yellow dragon's green cloud incantation. It was as if a yellow dragon was swimming and it attacked Yao Hong's shoulder blade. Ah! With a miserable groan, Yao Hong was sent flying and spat out blood. Her shoulder blade was shattered. Her beautiful eyes were filled with deep grief and indignation. You! Long Fan's figure appeared, and his cold eyes emitted a sharp glow. Hand over that ball, honey. Otherwise, don't blame me for sending you back to the outside world and cutting off your opportunity with the ancient Xianyan temple. Yao Hong was furious. I was the one who discovered this honey first. Why should I give it to you? Rong Han Ming also wielded his fishing rod and threatened them. He sneered and said, everyone who sees it has a share. Hoarding it alone has never had a good ending. You, despicable. Yao Hong found a dead black bee with a fist-sized bee in its mouth. The energy was pure and powerful, enough for her to break through to dragon transformation. She did not expect to meet Long Fan and Rong Han Ming. The 2 of them had evil intentions after seeing the riches, and they joined hands to severely injure her. Long Fan took a stride forward, and he displayed his majesty as the leader of the 3 unmatched holy kings. You could not even block a single move from me. Why are you persisting so bitterly? Could it be that you thought that someone would come and save you? Among the 10 great disciples of the faction, I do not remember anyone who is acquainted with you. Yao Hong's eyes were filled with grief and indignation. She had no one to rely on in the faction, and naturally, she did not know the strong 10 great disciples. However, at that moment, a faintly discernible voice entered their ears. Is that so? I wonder if I'm acquainted with her? Rustle, within the layer of clouds, a red light flashed abruptly as if lightning had struck. After that, a figure who was standing with his hands clasped behind his back descended from the sky between them. Suyu! Long Fan lost his voice in astonishment, and his lips trembled. The majestic figure could not help but tremble in fear. The scene of the silver-haired, purple-clothed figure defeating Wei Kong easily was extremely clear in his mind. Rong Han Ming looked as if he had been electrocuted. He revered Suyu, and his cold smile froze. Su! Junior Su, what can I do for you? Long Fan retreated slightly, and his eyes were filled with fear. If Suyu were to kick him out of the ancient Xianyan temple with just a thought, his future would be completely ruined. Disappear from my sight within 3 breaths' time. Suyu calmly glanced at him and Rong Han Ming. Whiz! Rustle. Not only did the 2 of them not feel angry, they were overjoyed, and they escaped to the horizon quickly. After they were some distance away, they cupped their fists and bowed. Thank you, Junior Su, for showing mercy. Yao Hong was stunned. Suyu had actually helped her. After a long time, Yao Hong understood. She and Suyu had met by chance, and he had helped her because he had a request. She bitterly handed over a lump of transparent, sparkling spiritual liquid that was preserved in a jade bottle. Junior Suyu, take it. Suyu calmly smiled and waved his hands. It was nothing. I will remember Senior Yao's protection in the past. Previously on the arena, Yao Hong cherished talents and protected Suyu from having his future destroyed by Long Fan. Although she did not help Suyu in any way, it was still a favor. So what if Suyu repaid her a little? Yao Hong's mind was buzzing. She recalled how she had overestimated herself and protected the powerful Suyu from Long Fan's hands. What she did not expect was that Suyu would treat it as a favor. Clenching her teeth, Yao Hong took out half of the honey and swallowed it. She then passed the other half to Suyu. For you to break through to the dragon realm, half is enough. This half is Junior Su's favor. Please do not reject it. My protection in the past cannot be compared to Junior Su's favor today. If not for Suyu, she would not even have gotten half of the honey. After hesitating for a moment, Suyu accepted it. After examining it, he could not help but be surprised. What pure energy! There are no impurities. It is extremely pure. Although there were many herbs here, if one were to consume them rashly, the impurities would enter the body and cause harm to the body. When Suyu consumed the herbs of the blazing lion, his body was unable to absorb the medicinal effects for a long time. As for the sparkling honey in front of him, it was pure energy that did not lose to the effects of elixirs. With a look of anticipation, Suyu consumed it on the spot. It was sweet and smooth, fresh and tasty. After that, a boundless energy surged within his body. The most amazing thing was that although the energy was shocking, it was extremely gentle. It was even gentler than the effects of elixirs. The energy seeped into Suyu's body, nourishing his flesh and blood. His cultivation level advanced at a steady pace. The boundless energy was released in an orderly manner. Half a day later, the boundless energy gradually dissipated. Suyu opened his eyes, glowing brightly. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The spirit energy of heaven and earth formed a vortex above Suyu's head, quickly entering his body, causing the thick spirit energy in his body to increase by another 30%. His cultivation level had risen from 7th level lower tier, Holy King, to 7th level peak, Holy King, in one step. It was a gap of 2 whole levels, extremely shocking. What a strange honey! Suyu was surprised. Not only was it pure, it was also extremely gentle, even more outstanding than the effects of the elixirs. Congratulations, Junior Su, for your great improvement in your cultivation level. Yao Hong was smiling, her face rosy and radiant. Her cultivation level had successfully reached the Dragon Realm. Although it was only Dragon Realm level 1 lower tier, it had surpassed the heavenly moat that most holy kings would never be able to cross. Hence, Yao Hong's joy went without saying. I should be congratulating Senior. Suyu smiled. Oh yes. May I ask, where did Senior find the honey? The energy of the honey was shocking, far surpassing that of the elixirs. Unfortunately, Yao Hong shook her head apologetically. I do not know, but I accidentally found a dead bee 30 miles to the east. Dead bee? Under normal circumstances, bees would not die suddenly. They would only die after stinging someone. Could someone have been stung by a bee? Junior, if you wish to investigate, remember to be careful. Yao Hong kindly reminded him. Thank you, Senior, but I am not in a hurry. I will stay here, stabilize my cultivation level, comprehend my techniques, and increase my abilities before leaving. Yao Hong nodded happily. All right, I will cultivate with you. We can look out for each other. The two of them cultivated on the spot. As Suyu stabilized his cultivation level, he used time acceleration, entering a state of 200 times acceleration, to comprehend what he had learned. At the moment, there were 3 main cultivation techniques. Offensive cultivation technique, glazed ice flame. Lightness cultivation technique, icy divine wings. Spirit energy cultivation technique, sigh of ice. The latter 2 had already reached stage 2 top class. Without a fortuitous encounter, it would be difficult to break through to stage 3 top class. But glazed ice flame had only broken through to stage 2 upper class, only a sliver away from stage 2 top class. Taking advantage of his breakthrough, Suyu wholeheartedly comprehended. After a full 10 days, Suyu suddenly opened his eyes. A ball of fire glowed in his eyes. The fire cloud seal between his eyebrows throbbed rapidly, like a ball of raging flames that wanted to burn the heavens. The burst of cold caused the expression of Yao Hong, who had just woken up, to change. She hurriedly revolved her spirit energy to resist the cold. Even so, her arm was covered in frost, the blood in her body stagnant. Shocked, Yao Hong covered her mouth. her eyes unable to conceal the shock. If she was a holy king, Su Yu's cold energy would have caused her to feel this way. But now that she had broken through to Dragon Realm Level 1, it was still the same. Su Yu's raging flames gradually receded, revealing a satisfied expression. 10 days of comprehension, under the condition of time acceleration, was equivalent to 16 years in the outside world. He had finally cultivated Glazed Ice Flame to stage 2 top class. The cold energy released was far greater than before. Chapter 192. Goodbye. Su Yu flew toward the east, 30 miles away. After a long while, Su Yu's figure descended in front of a rotten black bee. Upon closer inspection, the bee was as large as a piglet. Its entire body was pitch black, and its appearance was ferocious. A ferocious black spike shot out from its tail. A trace of fresh red blood dried up on it. Did it really die after it stung someone? Su Yu's eyes were filled with realization. The dried, bright red blood was human blood. It was just that he didn't know who had been stung and whether he had been teleported out. Su Yu flew high up in the sky and used his crystalline pupils to scan the area within a 50-mile radius. Suddenly, 50 kilometers away, at the limits of his vision, a black beehive the size of a small house appeared in front of him. Black, ferocious-looking bees entered and exited, each with precious honey in their mouths. Could it be there? Su Yu's gaze turned serious. Suddenly, Su Yu discovered that there were 2 people hiding near the beehive. They were the 5th-ranked Chan Yunfei and the 7th-ranked Duan Yinyu. They seemed to be spying on a beehive. Su Yu's eyes flickered, and he quietly approached it, stopping 3 miles away from the beehive. Su Yu secretly observed Chan Yunfei and Duan Yinyu. Junior brother Duan, are you sure that the honey brewed by the queen bee can save my brother? Chan Yunfei's beautiful eyes were anxious as she looked at Duan Yinyu, who was behind her. Duan Yinyu had an ordinary appearance and was about the same age as Chan Yunfei, around 25 years old. Hearing this, he sneered, "Of course it's true." This type of bee was known as the poisonous black bee. Its ability was between Dragon Realm Level 1 lower tier and Dragon Realm Level 1 upper tier. Only the queen bee would reach Dragon Realm Level 2 peak. An ordinary venomous black wasp's stinger contained a lethal poison that could kill a person. To detoxify the poison, we have to rely on the honey secreted by the queen bee. Duan Yinyu was good at controlling spirit beasts, so he knew a lot about spirit beasts in the world. Chan Yunfei's anxiousness eased slightly. After the 3 of them entered, they encountered a venomous black wasp. Chan Leiyun was accidentally stung by the venomous black wasp and was poisoned. He was barely able to suppress the poison by relying on his spiritual energy. Otherwise, if the poison flared up and his life was in danger, he would be teleported out of the ancient temple. Now, Chan Leiyun was waiting for them to bring back the antidote that could save him. Junior brother Duan, it's all up to you. Unexpectedly, Duan Yinyu smiled evilly. His pair of deep eyes were filled with greed. He looked at Chan Yunfei's voluptuous body from top to bottom, especially the pair of plump breasts. He paused for a while and said evilly, "Junior brother will naturally do his best, but senior sister must fulfill your promise. Firstly, senior sister will be responsible for capturing the queen bee alive, and all the honey will belong to me. Secondly, before I hand over the detoxifying honey to you, senior sister, don't forget what you promised me." Hearing this, Chan Yunfei's face turned red and her eyes flashed with disgust. Duan Yinyu actually took advantage of her misfortune and used her younger brother as a hostage. He coveted her fragrant body and demanded that she satisfy his desires. All right, Chan Yunfei agreed immediately. A cold look flashed across her eyes. A hint of a sneer flashed across the corners of Duan Yinyu's mouth. However, don't act rashly for the time being. Right now, the queen bee is laying eggs, and there are a lot of black venomous wasps guarding it. Although your individual combat strength is strong, if you show yourself rashly, I'm afraid you won't be able to escape unscathed. Wait for a day, and when the defense of the hive loosens, it won't be too late for you to enter. Chan Yunfei creased her brows. That's the only way. Suyu heard the conversation between the two of them and had a strange expression. Was the honey of the queen bee different? At this moment, a Dragon Realm level 1 lower tier poisonous black bee flew over Suyu's head to collect the pollen and ferment the honey. Suyu's eyes flashed. His eyes were like a golden moon. Divine eyes, demonic moon. Creak! The poisonous black bee struggled for a while, but was still mesmerized. It landed obediently in front of Suyu. Go steal a swarm of bees. Suyu ordered. The poisonous black bee immediately flew back to the beehive and brought back a ball of honey. It was crystal clear, fresh and sweet. In terms of size, it was twice the size of the honey he swallowed previously. Could it be that I can make a breakthrough to the Dragon Realm so easily? Suyu was surprised. Yao Hong had successfully entered the Dragon Realm after swallowing a ball of honey. Filled with anticipation, Suyu swallowed the honey. But what made Suyu's expression sink was that after the majestic energy entered his body, it did not increase his cultivation level. Instead, it was excreted through his pores. What is going on? Suyu was shocked. At this moment, Yun Yazi's mockery could be heard from the jade box in his robes. If the poisonous black honey was so effective, would you even have a chance? It would have been taken over by the 4 great disciples. The poisonous black honey can increase one's cultivation level the first time it is consumed. Thereafter, it improves the body and is not beneficial to one's cultivation level. So that was the case. So he was disappointed. If he had known, he would have kept the honey and consumed it when he made a breakthrough to the Dragon Realm. But what you consumed was just normal poisonous black honey. If you could consume the queen bee's honey, there would still be an effect. At least it would be enough to make a breakthrough to the Dragon Realm. So he was excited. The queen bee's honey? Go! Steal the queen bee's honey. Suyu ordered. But the poisonous black bees were extremely resistant. The poisonous black bees are absolutely loyal to the queen bee. With your crude soul techniques, it would be difficult to break them. Yun Yazi shook his head. Is that so? Suyu's gaze flashed as he looked in the direction of Chan Yunfei. A day later, there was a sudden movement within the beehive. A large number of poisonous black bees left the beehive to gather honey. Duan Yinyu was elated. It's done. The queen bee has just ovulated and her body is weak. She needs to consume pollen. Most of the poisonous black bees are out searching for pollen. This is the perfect time to capture it. Chan Yunfei bit her teeth, turning into a wisp of smoke as she charged into the beehive. A series of shrieks could be heard as the black venomous bees were thrown into chaos. In no time, a beautiful figure charged out of the beehive with a strong gust of wind. In her hands was a poisonous black bee the size of a cow. Let's go. Chan Yunfei let out a cry, her face pale. The poisonous black bees behind her howled as they covered the sky. Duan Yinyu did not dare to stop. He sprinted 30 miles away. After confirming that there were no more poisonous black bees chasing after them, the two of them rested for a moment. They brought the queen bee back to a dug underground cave. Deep within the cave, Chan Leiyun's face was black as he endured the pain. The poison had spread throughout his body, causing him unbearable pain. At this moment, he was trying his best to suppress it. Whoosh, whoosh, 2 figures flew back. They were Chan Yunfei and Duan Yinyu. Brother Leiyun, seeing that Chan Leiyun was beyond cure, she was anxious. With one hand, she subdued the queen bee, and with the other, she took out the pollen that she had prepared. She had no intention of letting Duan Yinyu interfere. Duan Yinyu squinted his eyes. Senior sister, you promised me 2 things. All the honey of the queen bee will belong to me. Also you and I. Hee. Shouldn't you fulfill your promise now? However, Chan Yunfei sneered. Despicable person. I can make my own bees. Why should I be threatened by you? When she finished, she stuffed the honey into the queen bee's mouth. After a while, the queen bee brewed a ball of fragrant honey. Compared to normal honey, its energy was pure. Joy appeared on her face as Chan Yunfei stuffed it into Chan Leiyun's mouth. However, the poison was not alleviated. Instead, it got worse. In a half-asleep state, Chan Leiyun let out a painful cry. What's going on? Duan Yinyu. You lied to me. Chan Yunfei's eyes were filled with killing intent. Duan Yinyu was calm. He crossed his arms and smiled evilly. Lied to you? Of course not. The honey brewed by the queen bee can detoxify the poison. However, it requires a higher grade of pollen. The pollen you casually gathered and brewed into honey is useless except for triggering the poison in his body. As he smiled evilly, Duan Yinyu took out a medicine bottle. It was filled with purple pollen. It was plump and filled with dense, spiritual energy. He had a trick up his sleeve. Chan Yunfei's eyes flashed. She wanted to snatch it. However, Duan Yinyu's palms were filled with flames. The pollen in the medicine bottle was wrapped in flames. If you dare to move recklessly, the only pollen will be burned into nothingness. By then, you can just wait for your dear brother to be teleported out of the ancient temple. His future will be ruined. Duan Yinyu sneered. Chan Yunfei was afraid. She suddenly stopped, and her face turned cold. Duan Yinyu, what do you want? Hee, what do I want? Didn't I tell you already? Duan Yinyu looked at Chan Yunfei's graceful body. His eyes were burning. From the first time I saw you, I swore that I would conquer you. Unfortunately, your ambition is higher than the sky, and you are more talented than me. I never had the chance. Your only weakness is your dear brother, Chan Leiyun. I heard that you were willing to give up your life for him. Duan Yinyu's evil smile became wider. Now, I will give you a choice. Be my woman or watch your brother's future be ruined. Chan Yunfei bit her red lips. Her teeth were cold. She stared at Duan Yinyu with hatred. She gritted her teeth and said, Duan Yinyu, you gave him honey carelessly just now. Now, he is only an hour away from death. If he is teleported out, he will never find another chance like the ancient Xianyan temple again. Time was pressing. She could not hesitate anymore. Her eyes were filled with tears. They turned into tears of humiliation. Chan Yunfei stared at Duan Yinyu. Her eyes were filled with hatred. However, her hand started to untie her belt. Her slim waist was completely exposed in front of her chastity and her brother's future. She finally chose to sacrifice herself. Her jade-like hands untied the belt around her collar. Her snow-white neck was revealed. As her jade-like hands continued to untie her collarbones stood out seductively. Following which, her full, sacred breasts were revealed. Duan Yinyu's heart was thumping. His mouth was dry. His eyes were burning with passion as he stared at the faintly visible ravine. However, at that moment, whoosh, a figure flew into the cave from outside, accompanied by a chuckle. Haha, it's quite lively here. His sudden appearance caused Chan Yunfei to panic. She covered her collar. Her face was red. She said in shock, Junior Suyu, you saw everything? Duan Yinyu raised his eyebrows. Suyu, what are you doing here? Suyu did not hear him. His gaze landed on the cow-sized queen bee. His eyes were filled with passion. Naturally, I am here for the queen bee. After saying this, he took out a jade bottle. A ball of 5-colored pollen lay quietly within. The queen bee, who had been subdued, suddenly became agitated. It looked greedily at the pollen in Suyu's bottle. According to Yun Yazi, this was ancient pollen. It could be used to make the precious 100 flowers honey. Yin Yazi spoke of how precious it was, so one could imagine how extraordinary it was. Chapter 193. Chan Yunfei's pupils dilated. Junior Su, can you... Without waiting for her to speak, Suyu smiled. Senior Chan, I'll borrow your queen bee. 90% of the honey will go to me, 10% to you. Chan Yunfei's beautiful eyes were misty and filled with gratitude. She sounded like she was about to cry. Thank you, Junior. Suyu had helped her in the meteorite forest without asking for anything in return. How could Chan Yunfei not be grateful? If not for him, her innocence would have been tainted by Duan Yinyu. But before that, Junior Su, please wait for a moment. I will first let a certain despicable person pay the price. Chan Yunfei wiped away her tears, coldness filling her eyes. Duan Yinyu's face was pale. He swallowed hard. Senior Chan, let's talk this out. Rumble. Chan Yunfei's eyes were filled with killing intent. Her attacks were sharp and merciless. Duan Yinyu barely managed to block 2 moves before he was injured by the palm strike. He vomited blood and was sent flying. But the direction he was sent flying was Suyu. Duan Yinyu's eyes were filled with hatred. "It's all your fault. I'll capture you first." If Suyu could make Chan Yunfei worry, he could salvage the situation. Suyu's lips curled into a cold smile. "Why? Shouldn't you thank me for helping you find the advancement stone? It's not good to bite the hand that feeds you." "Cut the crap," Duan Yinyu grunted. "You still have the face to mention it after spoiling my plans." Rumble. Duan Yinyu's fingers turned into claws, grabbing at Suyu. Under the suppression of their cultivation levels, Suyu could only surrender. Chan Yunfei's expression changed, flying over. "Junior Su, be careful." But what made Chan Yunfei's expression change was that Suyu did not dodge. Instead, he took a step forward. A ball of terrifying spirit energy gathered in his palm, pressing forward. Crackle. A palm and a claw collided, creating a whistling sound. Ah! A figure was sent flying like a boulder, crashing into the cave wall. Wah! He spat out a mouthful of blood. Who else could it be but Duan Yinyu? In terms of spirit energy, Suyu had crushed Dragon Realm Level 1 upper tier Duan Yinyu. Chan Yunfei was shocked. During the fight at the Idle Clouds contest, Suyu was only close to Dragon Realm Level 1 upper tier. In just a few short days, he had already surpassed this level. After sensing it carefully, Chan Yunfei realized that Suyu had broken through to 7th level lower tier Holy King and had broken through to 7th level peak Holy King. No wonder the spiritual energy was soaring. Blinking her beautiful eyes, Chan Yunfei's eyes flashed with a sharp light. She flew forward and gave the heavily injured Duan Yinyu a fatal blow. Ah, no! The ancient Xianyun temple sensed that Duan Yinyu was in mortal danger and automatically teleported him away. A white light flashed around Duan Yinyu's body, and he disappeared into the air. The once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of the ancient Xianyun temple had been completely severed. Humph! When we return to the sect, I'll teach you a lesson. Chan Yunfei's hatred was hard to quell, but she was worried about her brother. She hurriedly said, "Junior brother Su, please save my brother." Suyu nodded and took out the 5-color pollen. He dug out a piece the size of a thumb and stuffed it into the queen bee's mouth. The queen bee swallowed excitedly. After a while, a 5-colored crystal-clear liquid flowed out of her mouth. The multicolored light refracted dazzlingly. The astonishing fragrance was intoxicating, and Suyu felt a little dizzy after just taking a whiff of it. The 5-colored liquid contained a huge amount of spiritual energy, which made Suyu excited. Compared to the poisonous black bee's honey, the energy of the 5-color honey was more than 5 times stronger. It's only 1% of the 100 flowers honey's effect. However, it's enough for you now. Keep the pollen. It's a waste to give it to the queen bee. Moreover, the 5-color honey only has one effect. It's not worth it. Yun Yazi said leisurely. 1% was already so shocking. How scary would the real 100 flowers honey be? Suyu felt his heart ache for the 5-color pollen. He quickly kept it. Suyu took away 90% of the 5-colored liquid that flowed out. It was enough to fill a small jade bottle. The remaining 10% was given to Chan Yunfei. Chan Yunfei was grateful, but did not know how to repay him. However, hearing her brother's pained groan, she hurriedly fed the 5-color honey to her brother. After Chan Leiyun consumed the 5-color honey, the poison in his body dissipated. His black face gradually regained its rosy color. Seeing that, Chan Yunfei's heart was finally at ease. Junior's kindness. I'm unable to repay you. Chan Yunfei turned around, tears of gratitude welling up in her eyes. Suyu shook his head and laughed. There is no need. I am borrowing senior sister's queen bee. It is mutually beneficial. After saying this, Suyu wanted to leave. However, the moment he took a step, he felt his legs shake. The world spun, and his mind became dizzy. Elder Yun Yai. Suyu was shocked. Yun Yazi said indifferently, "It is nothing. It is just that the fragrance of the 5-color honey is intoxicating. You inhaled too much and got drunk. You will be fine after some rest." Looking at Chan Yunfei, her face was also flushed, and her body was swaying. Knowing that she was only drunk, Suyu was relieved. However, the world in front of him spun, and he quickly lost consciousness. As he swayed, he did not know where he fell. He only felt that his body was soft and warm. After that, he completely lost consciousness. Half a day later, Suyu regained consciousness. In his daze, he felt as if he was lying on a hot and shockingly soft object. There seemed to be a small and firm object in his mouth. In his daze, he subconsciously sucked on it. A soft moan floated into his ears. Suyu shook his heavy head and slowly opened his eyes. A dazzling snow-white object entered his eyes. A lofty snow-capped mountain appeared in his eyes in a ghastly manner. Suyu's mind quivered. This is hurriedly lifting his head. Suyu realized that in his right palm, there was another snow-white ball of breast. The snow-white ball of breast, under the power of Suyu's demonic palm, was humiliatingly obedient. And in his mouth, there was another ball of breast. Suyu's forehead broke out in cold sweat. Especially Chan Yunfei, who had been awakened by the strange sensation on her chest. At that moment, she looked at Suyu, who was lying on top of her. Her bewilderment gradually dissipated and was replaced by stupefaction. Following that, her beautiful pupils shrank to the size of a needle. Finally, it turned into a scream of terror. Suyu quivered and flipped himself up. At that moment, he realized that Chan Yunfei's round legs were wrapped around his waist. A pair of snowy arms were wrapped around his neck. It was clear what the two of them were doing when they were intoxicated. The only thing that made him happy was that her lower body was still intact. She had not taken the last step. Hearing the scream, Suyu hurriedly covered her mouth and helped her put on her clothes, covering her full, sparkling breasts. Chan Yunfei's beautiful face was red. Her eyes were filled with panic, embarrassment, and anger. But thinking back to before she fainted, she felt like she was going crazy. It seemed like it was because of the intoxicating fragrance. All of this was done unknowingly by the two of them. It was not Suyu's invasion. Understanding, the two of them hurriedly got up and tidied up their clothes. Feeling the numbness of her breasts, especially her right breast, which Suyu had sucked on for half a day. It was swollen and painful. Chan Yunfei wished she could find a hole to hide in. She had never experienced such an embarrassing scene in her life. Suyu's mouth still had the fragrance of the breasts, making him feel extremely embarrassed. Just as he was about to find an excuse to leave, Chan Leiyun, who had gotten rid of the poison, woke up. Even though he had suppressed the poison and entered a meditative state, he could still hear everything that happened in the outside world. He just could not wake up. In the past half a day, after his sister and Suyu had passed out, he had heard the sounds of them taking off their clothes, tangling, kissing, sucking on his sister's breasts, his sister's and Suyu's panting. But at that time, he could not wake up, even though his heart was burning with anxiety and anger. But he could not wake up. Suyu, you beast! Once he woke up, Chan Leiyun shot out, his face filled with anger. His fist struck Suyu, who had his back facing him. Suyu's gaze turned cold. Even though he felt deeply apologetic, it did not mean that an outsider could get angry at him. Leiyun, what are you doing? Chan Yunfei was slightly angry. She pointed with her hand and forced Chan Leiyun to retreat. Seeing his sister, who doted on him, not only did not help him, she even protected the beast who had defiled her and beat him up. He felt his internal organs burning. He roared with red eyes, "Sister, are you crazy? This beast, he treated you like that, and you still." "Shut up." Chan Yunfei's face was red, but her eyes were cold. She said angrily, "What happened here was an accident. Moreover, he was the one who saved you. If I don't ask you to repay kindness, how can you repay kindness with ingratitude?" Chan Leiyun was seething with anger. His pure sister had reprimanded him in order to protect that beast. But sister, he is a beast. Chan Leiyun felt his chest was about to explode. Suyu's gaze gradually turned cold. "Call me beast again." He understood Chan Leiyun's feelings, but he could not accept his irrational madness. "Ha ha! You still dare to threaten me? You!" Chan Leiyun was so angry that he laughed. He was about to scold Beast again. Slap. A jade-like palm ruthlessly slapped his face. The fiery pain stunned Chan Lei-yun. Since young, when had his sister ever hit him? You. Chan Lei-yun could not believe it. Chan Yunfei's face turned cold. She clenched her teeth. Are you awake? If not, I will slap you a few more times. Chan Lei-yun's lips moved, but he did not say anything. He only stared at Su Yu with his eyes. Junior Su, let's part ways here. You can leave first. Chan Yunfei curtsied, deeply apologetic. Su Yu was slightly stunned. He wanted to say a few words of apology to Chan Yunfei, but the current situation did not allow him to stay any longer. Take care. After saying this, he left the crypt in a flash. Sister, why did you stop me? He tainted you like that. After Su Yu left, Chan Lei-yun could no longer hold back the anger in his heart. Chan Yunfei's face was as red as a rosy cloud. I said it was an accident. You cannot blame him. Moreover, he saved your life. Consider this as a repayment to him. As she said this, Chan Yunfei's voice was like a mosquito's buzz, full of shyness. If not for him, what I would have encountered would have been even more terrifying. Have you thought about that? Hearing this, Chan Lei-yun was stunned, his face filled with shame. Duan Yinyu had almost succeeded in taking his sister's chastity, but Su Yu, Chan Lei-yun was unwilling. But in comparison, even though his sister had sacrificed herself, it was better than letting Duan Yinyu get what he wanted. Humph! Don't let me meet Su Yu again. Chan Lei-yun grunted, unwilling. Chan Yunfei shook her head. I also hope that you do not meet him again, because you are no match for him. Chan Lei-yun laughed angrily. Haha, I'm no match for him. So what if I defeated Duan Yinyu? If we were to fight face to face, Duan Yinyu would not be able to take more than 10 of my moves. This is my intuition. You're no match for him. Even I might not be his match. Chan Yunfei's eyes were serious. Is that so? Chan Lei-yun's eyes glowed with a cold light. Su Yu left the crypt, touching the bottle of 5-color honey in his robes, filled with anticipation. It is time to make a breakthrough to the dragon realm. All of a sudden, Su Yu turned his head around and squinted his eyes. His gaze gradually turned cold. Since you're seeking death, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Whoosh! Su Yu's figure disappeared from his original position. Chapter 194. Chan Yunfei and her brother were at the entrance of the cave. Sister, you deal with the queen bee. I will stand guard outside the cave. Chan Lei-yun stood at the entrance of the cave and looked around. Chan Yunfei nodded slightly. All right, you owe the queen bee a debt of gratitude, so it's appropriate for her to be released. I'll remove the restraints on her, but it will take some time. Stay outside and be on guard. Chan Yunfei sniffed the lingering fragrance of the 5-color honey in the cave. She was worried. The 5-color honey brewed from the 5-color pollen in Su Yu's hand was shockingly terrifying. Even people as strong as them were intoxicated by it. Now that the cave was open and the remnant fragrance leaked out, it might attract the greed of the powerful beings in the 100-mile garden. Chan Yunfei turned around and released the queen bee's restraints. As for Chan Lei-yun, his eyes flashed. After ascertaining Su Yu's direction, he stepped into the air and chased after him. A few minutes later, whoosh! A majestic figure descended upon the place where Su Yu had appeared. There was no one around, and it was difficult to find any traces of him. After confirming that he had lost Su Yu, Chan Lei-yun creased his brows and was filled with ferocity. Beast, you run fast. But right at this moment, an icy, cold voice resounded from above him. I already warned you. Since you're courting death, don't blame me. Shwa, in the clouds of the 9th heaven, a red light flashed, and a figure descended from the sky. It was Su Yu, who had been waiting for them. The person he felt apologetic towards was Chan Yunfei, not his brother Chan Lei-yun. Instead of being angry, Chan Lei-yun was delighted. He shouted coldly, Beast, you will pay for the humiliation my sister has suffered with your blood. What really angered him was not his sister's humiliation, but the fact that he was inferior to Su Yu in his sister's heart. Let's fight first, Su Yu said coldly. Chan Lei-yun took a deep breath and waited solemnly. I will defeat you within 20 moves. Su Yu's gaze was calm. The spiritual energy in his palms surged. Just as he was about to attack, he raised his eyebrows suddenly. Su Yu's expression changed slightly. He revolved his crystalline pupils, and his gaze went past Chan Lei-yun to look into the distance. His expression changed abruptly. Not good. Your sister is in danger. In his crystalline eyes, a white shadow wrapped in black lightning bolts dashed toward the cave at lightning speed. This white figure was none other than the terrifying psychic white tiger. Any random thunderbolt could kill all the disciples present. For some reason, it was attracted by the residual fragrance of the 5-color honey. Following the residual fragrance, it charged straight into the crypt. Once they met Chan Yunfei, the consequences whoosh. Without hesitation, Su Yu unleashed his Ice Phoenix divine wings and shot toward the underground cave. Chan Lei-yun was slightly stunned. He immediately sneered. Useless trash. You want to seek my sister's protection? Moments later, Su Yu descended into the crypt and grabbed onto Chan Yunfei's waist, who was just about to break free from the restraints of the queen bee. He had no time to explain and said, "Let's go quickly. Danger." Chan Yunfei's face turned red. Her breasts were pressed against Su Yu's chest. It caused her breasts to go numb, her delicate body to stiffen, and her brain to lose its ability to think. She allowed Su Yu to pull her into his arms and rush out of the cave. At this moment, Chan Lei-yun caught up. Seeing this scene, blood rushed to his head. "Let go of my sister." As soon as he finished speaking, he furiously struck out with his palm. Su Yu looked in the direction of the spiritual white tiger. What caused his pupils to dilate was that the white tiger had disappeared within a short period of time. This caused Su Yu's hair to stand on end, and his heart to beat wildly. "Let's go. Danger is coming." Su Yu was anxious. Chan Lei-yun looked around, and his lips curled into a cold smile. "Do you think I will fall for such a cheap trick? Take your filthy hands off my sister." Without hesitation, Chan Lei-yun flew closer. He revolved his palm and struck towards Su Yu's head. 5 tigers breaking dragon palm. 5 tigers breaking dragon palm. A legacy-level technique of Stage 2 peak. Just one more level, and he would be able to cross over to Stage 3. His palm struck out. His 5 fingers were surrounded by spirit energy, as if 5 ferocious tigers were attacking at the same time. This palm could even break a dragon from the 9 heavens on the spot. Its power was ferocious and explosive. This was the strongest palm technique in the depository of scriptures. Both of them were Dragon Realm level 1 upper tier, but Duan Yinyu could not withstand more than 10 moves from the 5 tigers breaking dragon palm. Su Yu was furious. The situation was dire, but Chan Lei-yun did not know what was good for him. At this moment, Su Yu no longer held back. Glazed ice flame. Creak. The fire cloud seal between Su Yu's brows throbbed rapidly. A cold energy that could freeze the heavens and the earth swept through the clouds. Raging flames that covered the sky gushed out and enveloped Chan Lei-yun, who was just inches away. Chan Lei-yun laughed coldly. "Do you think the cold energy used to deal with trash like Wei Kong will be effective against me?" His palm was like a knife, 5 tigers breaking dragon. Crackle. The fiery red ice flame was split open in mid-air. But Chan Lei-yun did not have the time to show his joy before his expression turned stiff abruptly. After splitting open the ice flame that enveloped him, Chan Lei-yun realized that what he had split was only 1/10 of the ice flame. There were still 9 layers of ice flame that pounced toward him like a tsunami. Rumble. Ah. As if he had been hit by several giant mountains, Chan Lei-yun let out a horrible shriek and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with terror. It had only been 10 days since they last met, but the power of Su Yu's ice flame had increased tremendously compared to the last time. Thump! He fell deeply onto the ground, causing Chan Lei-yun to spit out another mouthful of blood and fall into a semi-conscious state. His heart had been replaced by fear. Su Yu had seriously injured him with just one move. Recalling how overbearing he was, Chan Lei-yun's hair stood on end. Whoosh! Su Yu's eyes were cold as he flew toward Chan Lei-yun. He wanted to give him a fatal blow and sever his chance at the ancient Xianyan temple. No, Chan Yunfei finally regained her senses and struggled out of Su Yu's embrace. She stood in front of Chan Leiyun and pleaded. In her heart, she was extremely shocked. Her intuition told her that Su Yu was very strong, but she did not expect him to be so strong that he could seriously injure her brother with just one move. Keeping his palm, Su Yu coldly glanced at Chan Leiyun. You should be thankful that you have a good sister. Otherwise, you would have lost your chance at the ancient Xianyan temple. Hearing Su Yu's reprimand, Chan Leiyun kept quiet out of fear. As arrogant as he was, he did not dare talk back. Thank you, Junior, for showing mercy. Even though Chan Yunfei was angry at Su Yu's heavy-handed attack, her brother was too overbearing and she could not resent Su Yu. Su Yu's expression turned serious. Leave quickly. We cannot stay here for long. After saying this, he activated his Ice Phoenix divine wings and escaped. Chan Yunfei looked at the horizon and hesitated for a moment. She then brought her brother and followed Su Yu, leaving quickly. A few minutes after they left, a white tiger had appeared out of nowhere in the empty sky. Black thunderbolts swam around its body, its terrifying aura intimidating all beasts. It was the aura of the king of all beasts. The white tiger stared in the direction Su Yu had left, speaking in human language. That kid from the pavilion of the Nine Phoenix? He did not die. Previously, its thunderbolt should have killed Su Yu, according to its calculations. Forget it. For the sake of the pavilion of the Nine Phoenix, I will not argue with you. After saying this, the white tiger flew into the cave. The Bee King, which had recovered a Dragon Realm Level 1 peak, immediately crawled on the ground, trembling. The white tiger calmly glanced at it. That one glance caused the Bee King to let out a pathetic cry, its body exploding. Even though it was not completely dead, its flesh and blood were churning. The white tiger lightly inhaled the remaining fragrance, its eyes revealing a hint of intoxication and shock. 100 flowers honey? No, it is the scent of the raw materials of the 100 flowers honey. Even the white tiger revealed an intoxicated expression after taking a breath. Furthermore, it had mentioned the existence of the 5 color pollen. The honey was brewed by you? Is there any excess? Where is it? The white tiger revealed a burning gaze. The Bee King trembled. It is in the hands of that silver-haired human, that little ant. The white tiger was surprised, its eyes glinting dangerously. If that is the case, I cannot let you off. Whoosh! With a flash of black thunderbolt, the white tiger disappeared from the cave. Su Yu sprinted for 100 miles before stopping. The white tiger could feel the situation 50 miles away. Chan Yunfei had not seen what Su Yu was referring to when he said danger. But after escaping for a few minutes, she could clearly feel a pair of terrifying eyes sweeping past her. That gaze was 10 miles away, but it caused her blood to boil and her heart to palpitate. Until now, Chan Yunfei's heart was still thumping, trembling slightly. What is that? Why is it so terrifying? Chan Leiyun's face was drained of all color, pale as a sheet. He had also felt that terrifying gaze. Thinking back to how he had pestered Su Yu recklessly, he felt a lingering fear. Su Yu's gaze was unprecedentedly serious. I do not know who it is, but it is extremely dangerous. If we are attacked by it, it is best to kill ourselves so that we can safely be transported out of the ancient Xianyan temple. If it attacks, I am afraid we will not even have the chance to be transported if it kills us in an instant. The principle of the ancient Xianyan temple's transportation was to sense that the disciples' training were in mortal danger. But if the time was too short, the ancient Xianyan temple would not be able to react in time, and they would die. Chan Yunfei and Chan Leiyun gasped. Senior, I'm going to find a place to train in seclusion. Where are you going? Su Yu asked. Chan Yunfei replied. Naturally, we're going to meet up with Senior Ji Hongxue. Su Yu's eyes were filled with confusion. Oh, could it be that Junior Su does not know? All of us Dragon Realm disciples are gathering in front of the lake. Chan Yunfei was stunned, then relieved. Oh, I almost forgot. Junior Su has just become one of the 10 great disciples and did not receive the notification in time. Chan Leiyun looked at Su Yu with respect, revealing a stiff expression. The medicinal herbs of the 100-Mile Garden have limited effects for us Dragon Realm disciples. Furthermore, we have harvested them many times in the past, so we are lacking in useful medicinal herbs. The Jade Lake in front is the true place for us Dragon Realm disciples to obtain opportunities. There are many spiritual herbs with pure energy growing at the bottom of the lake. After harvesting them, our cultivation level will improve by leaps and bounds. Before the Xianyan contest, Ji Hongxue had already sent out the notification. If we successfully entered the second level, we were to immediately gather at the Jade Lake and work together to harvest the spiritual herbs. My sister, Duan Yinyu, and I met with the poisonous black bees on our way there. That was why we stopped for 10 whole days. Junior Su, as a dark horse, unexpectedly made it into the top 10. Senior Ji Hongxue did not have the time to inform you. So that was the case. Su Yu understood. The so-called Jade Lake should be the lake with a circumference of 50 miles. According to Su Yu's observation, they were at least Dragon Realm Level 2 living beings. The strongest ones were even Dragon Realm Level 3. What kind of spiritual herbs grew at the bottom of the lake for Ji Hongxue to rush over like a flock of ducks? Thank you for telling me. I will choose a place to train in seclusion. We will meet again then. So you bid farewell to Chan Yunfei and Chan Yunfei. He found a secluded corner and dug an underground cave. The surroundings of the underground cave were heavily guarded to prevent the smell of the honey from leaking. Previously, he had been careless and allowed the fragrance of the honey to linger, attracting the white tiger. So you would not make the same mistake twice. Taking out the 5-color honey, Su Yu pondered for a moment. He only poured out a third of the jade bottle. Why don't you drink it all? This type of honey is only beneficial to your cultivation level when consumed for the first time. You should consume more of it and strive to achieve the greatest breakthrough in your cultivation level, Yun Yazi suddenly said. Su Yu shook his head. The intoxicating fragrance of the 5-color honey is too strong. Just the fragrance alone makes me sleep for half a day. If I consume too much, I might fall into a long slumber. Yun Yazi let out a satisfied smile. At least you know your limits. But if you consume the whole bottle, the consequences will not be as simple as a long slumber. Instead, you will never wake up until your body rots and you die. Su Yu's heart thumped, and he rejoiced secretly. Even if it is only a third of it, I predict that you will be unconscious for about half a month. That is the limit of what you can digest. Half a month? Su Yu nodded his head. Half a month was still within his acceptable range. After checking that the underground cave was concealed and secure, Su Yu consumed the 5-color honey on the spot. If the energy of the poisonous black honey was as majestic as the waves of a river, then, in front of the 5-color honey, it was merely a wave in the ocean. The terrifying energy of the 5-color honey was 100 times stronger than the poisonous black honey. The suffocating energy warmly entered Su Yu's limbs and bones. With a ferocious force, it pushed his cultivation level forward continuously. At the same time, the terrifying, intoxicating fragrance caused Su Yu's vision to turn black, and he fell unconscious. Chapter 195. The white tiger scanned the crypt, but it did not discover anything. During the half a month, some disciples occasionally caught a glimpse of a white tiger flickering by. Half a month later, in the crypt, Su Yu slowly opened his eyes. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At once, spiritual energy surged violently, forming a vortex which entered Su Yu's body. The density of the spiritual qi caused a small black cloud to form above the cave. The air flowed rapidly, forming a fierce gale that caused the flowers to tremble. The faint phenomenon caused a commotion in all directions. Some of the dragon transformation stage beings had solemn expressions. They knew that this was the phenomenon of dragonification. The spirit energy, which was close to liquid, entered Su Yu's body crazily, causing the abundant spirit energy in his body to be squeezed. Su Yu found it difficult to breathe, and it was as if his body was about to explode from the immense spiritual energy. However, when the amount of chi reached the limit, the chi started to compress. The dense spiritual energy was compressed into droplets of liquid and gathered in the dantian of his abdomen. Looking inside, it was like a spiritual spring. The liquefaction of spiritual energy was the mark of transforming into a dragon. Liquefaction meant that a body of the same size could store more spiritual energy. This was the reason why dragon transformation was superior to holy kings. However, Suyu's transformation was not over yet. The power of the five-color honey was amazing. Spiritual energy continued to pour into his body, causing his dragon transformation realm cultivation to continue to soar. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, it stopped at Dragon Realm Level 1 upper tier. In your hands, the ancient pollen has been put to good use. Yun Yazi sighed slightly. A 7th level Holy King needs to accumulate for a long time in order to cross the natural chasm of the dragon transformation. However, you have just broken through to the 7th level Holy King, and under the effect of the five-color honey, you easily entered the dragon transformation and even reached the upper tier. You will be the envy of many people. Suyu was pleasantly surprised. Dragon transformation, a realm that was once unreachable, was finally achieved today. Shenyue Island. He had to look up to Chao Xian, who was in the dragon realm. Now, he had also stepped into this realm. If Li Guang knew about this in the afterlife, would he be proud of him? Buzz, buzz, buzz. All of a sudden, the depths of Suyu's mind shook. The Divine Nine Dragons Cauldron shook violently at this moment. A large ball of sparkling red liquid rolled out. On top of the Divine Cauldron, the red dragon that had already been 1/3 crystallized was once again 1/3 crystallized. A ripple of space came out from Suyu's right eye. From the experience of the purple dragon's crystallization, the higher the crystallization, the stronger the corresponding talent. The purple dragon accelerated time accordingly. The red dragon corresponded to spatial shift. Now that the crimson dragon had crystallized, its ability to teleport was even more powerful. In the past, spatial shift could only be used to teleport an individual, and the target could not be too big. The biggest time was when Suyu was being hunted by Hua Zhilan. Suyu had transported himself and Mo Wu together. Now, he could move objects the size of small hills. Moreover, the teleportation distance had expanded from the previous short-range teleportation to a range of 10 miles. Within a range of 10 miles, Suyu's wine-red right, I could forcibly teleport him away. What made Suyu's heart skip a beat was that Yun Yazi seemed to have sensed that faint space ripple. A soul shadow flickered and stared at Suyu, as if it wanted to see through his mind. However, after a long while, Yun Yazi revealed a serious expression for the first time. That's strange. There seems to be something amazing in your soul. Even my soul is being blocked outside. The strength of Yun Yazi's soul was shocking, but there was something in this world that even he could not see through. Suyu's expression changed slightly. His greatest secret was the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. He did not know if he should tell Yun Yazi. Everyone has their own secrets, and I am no exception. I am only curious, but I will not get to the bottom of it. Yun Yazi could not help but laugh, returning to the jade box. Suyu heaved a sigh of relief, grateful for Yun Yazi's magnanimity. If anyone else had sensed that a person with a low cultivation level was carrying a priceless treasure, their first thought would have been to forcefully take it for themselves. Suyu's eyes flashed, and he immediately left. He could not stay here for long. The strange phenomenon just now was shocking. The air current had swept away the remnant fragrance of the five-color honey from the crypt. Half a cup of tea's time had passed. If he did not leave now, there would be trouble. Breaking open the crypt, Suyu charged into the sky, flying toward the Jade Lake to meet up with Ji Hongxue. Almost half a cup of tea's time after he left. Creak! A terrifying aura descended. Black lightning flickered, and a white tiger descended. Staring at the broken crypt, the white tiger's eyes burned with anger. Cunning kid. It had passed by this place many times, but had never sensed Su Yu's presence underground. Unless you leave the second level, don't even think of escaping from me. The white tiger grunted, turning into black lightning, disappearing into the sky. At the Jade Lake, Ji Hongxue and Shun Jiuyin stood side by side, looking at the horizon seriously. That white tiger, who is it? Shun Jiuyin's sunken eyes revealed a rarely seen seriousness. Ji Hongxue's expression was calm. It is said to be the guardian beast of the second level, guarding the divine herb in the fence, the ice and fire herbs. But don't worry, it does not seem to care about us. Shun Jiuyin nodded his head, pinching his fingers to calculate. In another 3 days, it will be the 1-month period to enter the ancient Xianyan Temple. At that time, the third level of the Eternal Stairs will descend. Do you have any plans to enter? It is rumored that every step on the Eternal Stairs is a transformation. If you can reach the end, you will obtain a shocking transformation. The Eternal Stairs was a forbidden ground that the master of the Lucian faction strictly forbade anyone from entering. Throughout the years, no one who entered had ever returned alive. Regardless of whether they were geniuses or geniuses, they were all eternally trapped within the mysterious Eternal Stairs. Hearing this, Ji Hongxue's eyes revealed a struggle. After a moment, he gently shook his head. If I had a choice, I would not enter. In the history of the faction, there were too many geniuses who entered confidently, but none of them returned. Geniuses like the Second Elder, the number 1 genius in the history of the faction, also stopped at the Eternal Stairs, unable to enter. Whoosh! A red glow flickered in the sky. Suyu arrived at the Jade Lake. With his eyesight, it was easy for him to find the gathering place of his fellow faction members. At that moment, 3 Dragon Realm level 1 lower-tier disciples were guarding the lakeside, waiting solemnly. Sensing Suyu's arrival, they glanced over, forcing a smile. Among the 3 of them, 2 of them were in the meteorite forest, relying on Suyu to find the advancement stone. Junior Su. The 3 of them nodded their heads, still polite. Suyu looked around. Where are the rest of the seniors? The 3 Dragon Realm disciples were slightly cautious. Junior Su, is there anything? I naturally responded to Senior Ji Hongxue's call to gather here. Suyu said matter-of-factly. The 3 of them looked at each other, 2 of them revealing a troubled expression. Only the 25-year-old disciple slightly creased his brows. His name was Li Jun, and he had relied on his own luck to find the advancement stone. He did not owe Suyu any favors. He raised his eyelids, looking Suyu up and down. Junior Su, it is safer for you to return to the 100-Mile Garden. This is not a place where you can come and go as you please. Recalling Chan Yunfei's reminder that only Dragon Realm disciples would receive the notice, Suyu understood. I see. Suyu rubbed his chin. Dragon Realm upper-tier spirit energy suddenly gushed out. Thump! Li Jun was caught off guard, suddenly being suppressed by a tsunami-like spirit energy. His knees weakened, and he knelt on the ground. The 2 Dragon Realm level 1 lower-tier disciples behind him also retreated, their expressions as if they had seen a ghost. Dragon Realm level 1. Upper tier? In just a month? How is that possible? The 2 of them exclaimed, unable to believe the scene in front of them. When Suyu had entered the ancient Xianyan Temple, he had only been a 7th level lower-tier Holy King. Even if he had a breakthrough within a month, breaking through to Dragon Realm level 1 lower tier was his limit. One had to know that after the Dragon Realm, every small breakthrough required a long period of accumulation. Normally, one could break through small level in half a year. If it was slow, it could take years. Suyu's Dragon Realm level 1 upper tier had shocked them. Li Jun's forehead was covered in cold sweat, his expression fearful. He stood up with difficulty, replying respectfully, Junior Su, Senior Ji has brought the other seniors to the bottom of the lake to pick spear herbs. As he spoke, a splashing sound came from the water, and multiple figures shot into the sky. Their expressions were both surprised and flustered. They were the Dragon Realm disciples who had entered the water. At the same time, furious roars could be heard from the depths of the water. One of the roars was extremely terrifying, containing the terrifying spiritual pressure of a Dragon Realm Level 3. The people who had charged out of the water froze, their faces filled with shock. Li Jun and the other two on the shore hurriedly revolved their spirit energy, their faces filled with pain. Su Yu creased his brows, spirit energy circulating around his body. That roar made him feel like he was about to faint. A Dragon Realm Level 3 creature that uses sound waves to attack. Su Yu's gaze turned serious. Whoosh, 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 6 figures flew out. The 4 great disciples, Chan Yunfei and her brother. Chan Leiyun's face was pale, showing the emotions of surviving a disaster. What a terrifying, heaven-howling fish. 6 juniors have already had their hearts crushed by its roar and have been transported out. Su Yu's gaze turned serious. 6 Dragon Realm disciples have been transported out? Junior Su, you're here? Chan Yunfei saw Su Yu from the corner of her eyes, slightly stunned. She was pleasantly surprised, smiling as she ran over. Her pair of bright eyes flashed with deep joy. Mo Wu saw this scene, her brows creasing. When did Su Yu and Chan Yunfei become so close? Ji Hongxue smiled. Junior Su, you're here too? Su Yu replied. Junior Su, this is a spirit herb from the bottom of the lake, the dragon scale herb. It contains pure water spiritual energy and is extremely effective for breaking through to the dragon realm. Chan Yunfei waved the plant in her palm. It was as long as a palm, completely black and covered in black scales. The energy it contained was equivalent to 1/3 of the 5-color honey. Looking around, among the 6 of them, only Ji Hongxue and Chan Yunfei had obtained it. The other 4 were not only empty-handed, they were also in a sorry state. They looked at Chan Yunfei with varying degrees of jealousy. They had dived into the lake to find the dragon scale herb. The process was difficult, and it was extremely difficult to obtain. Chao Xin glanced and realized it was Su Yu. At once, hatred and humiliation burned in his chest. The one who forced him to castrate himself was Su Yu. But what made Chao Xin feel gratified was that he had successfully broken through to Dragon Realm Level 2 upper tier. He believed that he would reap more rewards in a month's time. At this moment, realizing that Su Yu and Chan Yunfei knew each other, he let out a cold grunt. The heaven-howling fish's defenses are getting stronger. When we enter the water, the team needs to be as simple as possible. I suggest that only the 4 great disciples enter. The rest of you should stay on the shore, safety first. Ji Hongxue nodded. That's the only way. The heaven-howling fish was extremely powerful. Even he would find it difficult to deal with it. If there were too many people, it would alarm the heaven-howling fish. He already had plans to streamline the team, but he did not want to embarrass Chan Yunfei and her brother, so he did not suggest it. Now that Chao Xin had suggested it, he naturally went with the flow. Shen Juin nodded his head hoarsely. I agree. After all, what our team needs is ability, not luck. In other words, Chan Yunfei and Chan Leiyun were purely here to make up the numbers and rely on luck. Mo Wu's lips moved. She wanted to say a few words for Chan Yunfei and her brother, but seeing how close Chan Yunfei and Su Yu were, she felt a little uncomfortable. She swallowed the words that were at the tip of her tongue. 3 people agreed. 1 person remained silent. The decision was made. Chan Yunfei's face was red, her heart bitter. She and her brother were to be abandoned as burdens? Chan Leiyun's face was flushed red, lowering his head in shame. Indeed, the 2 of them were the weakest in the team. They could not be of much use against the heaven-howling fish. At this moment, Su Yu's gentle voice echoed beside Chan Yunfei's ears. Senior, why don't the 3 of us form a team? I think that my abilities are too weak and will not catch their attention. Ji Hongxue froze. He had wanted to pull Su Yu into the team, as he was very confident of Su Yu's abilities. But before he could say anything, Su Yu had already made his decision. Chan Yunfei's eyes were filled with gratitude. Su Yu had helped her in her awkward moment. Her eyes rippled. Chan Yunfei blushed, her voice like a mosquito. Then let's take care of each other. She understood that Su Yu had extraordinary abilities. With him in the team, they might be able to obtain more black dragon plants. Seeing Su Yu's concern for Chan Yunfei, Mo Wu glared and grunted, "Who cares about you?" They rested for a moment. Ji Hongxue and the other three entered the water again. Chan Yunfei had just finished digesting the black dragon plant. Her Dragon Realm level 1 peak cultivation level had increased by 30%. Her eyes opened, filled with surprise. If I could obtain 2 more dragon plants, I would be able to enter Dragon Realm level 2. Only a 1/3 increase in cultivation level? Su Yu's eyes revealed a slight disappointment. Su Yu, who was used to breaking through all levels, was slightly disappointed with the effects of the black dragon plant. But thinking about the difficulty of breaking through the dragon realm, he felt relieved. If the dragon realm was as easy to break through as the Holy King realm, Ji Hongxue would not only be dragon realm level 2 peak. Is there only black dragon plants at the bottom of the lake? Su Yu asked. Chan Yunfei shook her head. Of course not. Other than the black dragon plant, there are 2 other spiritual plants. One is called the white dragon plant. For those below dragon realm level 3, it can break through an entire level. Its effect is 3 times that of the black dragon plant. Oh, Su Yu's eyes lit up. Finally, there is another spiritual plant called the divine dragon plant. It is rumored that for those below dragon realm level 3, it can break through an entire level. Su Yu's pupils dilated. An entire level? Wouldn't this medicinal power be comparable to the 5-color honey? But the white dragon plant is extremely rare and is guarded by the heaven-howling fish. There is no way to get close. As for the divine dragon plant, it is rumored that it is in the belly of the heaven-howling fish. Chan Yunfei laughed bitterly. Su Yu thought for a moment before nodding his head. All right, let's go down too. Chan Yunfei's spirit was shaken. All right, let the 3 of us work together. Hopefully we can pluck a black dragon plant. Black dragon plant? Su Yu revealed an unfathomable expression. My goal is not the black dragon plant. Chan Yunfei gasped. Could it be that you want the white dragon plant? Unexpectedly, Su Yu let out a carefree laugh, his eyes glowing. My goal is the divine dragon plant. After 2 consecutive days of 5 chapters, it was obvious that his condition had deteriorated. Yesterday, he had uploaded it late. Today, he had only written 7,000 words. One chapter was 3,000 words, and the other chapter was 4,000 words. His condition today was really bad. If he continued to write, he would not be able to write the flavor that he wanted. Apologies, there were only 2 chapters for today. He had agreed to 5 chapters for today, but he would move it to the day after tomorrow. Chapter 196. Crash. The water splashed as the 3 of them jumped into the lake. With his crystalline pupils revolving, Su Yu could see the situation in the lake clearly. The lake was 15 li deep, and in the deepest part of it, there were 3 ruins with a radius of 10 zhang standing side by side. On both sides of the ruins, there were hundreds of black dragon grasses. Only in the middle of the ruins, among the dozens of stalks of black dragon grass, there were 4 or 5 stalks that shone like luminous pearls. They were covered in white scales and elegantly covered the surface of their bodies. They were elegant and beautiful. That was the extremely rare white dragon grass. At the same time, according to the Lucian faction master, it was a legendary medicinal herb whose medicinal power surpassed that of a top-grade marrow cleansing elixir. However, the ruins in the middle were surrounded by an eel that was 1,000 feet long. The aura of Dragon Realm level 3 caused Su Yu to feel fearful. Is that the heaven-howling fish? Su Yu was serious. The hearts of the 6 Dragon Realm martial artists were shattered by him and sent out. At this moment, the 4 disciples cautiously approached the ruins. The 300-meter-long eel closed its eyes and rested, not noticing anything. Only when it was within 30 feet of the ruins did the eel suddenly open its eyes, and its savage black eyes emitted a cunning light. Roar! The eel that was taking a nap suddenly launched an attack. He opened his mouth and spat out a powerful sound wave. Walala! The terrifying sound wave rolled up the water and set off a huge wave. The 15 li deep lake water instantly surged violently. The sound wave penetrated through the water and everyone's body. Mo Wu and Chao Xian's bodies stiffened when they suffered the sound wave attack at such a close distance. Their vital energy and spiritual energy became stagnant, and their hearts tightened as if they were about to explode. Even someone as strong as Shun Jiuyin groaned. Ji Hongshue's expression changed slightly as he hastily shouted in a low voice, "It is indeed a trick. Everyone, grab the black dragon grass and leave the lake." Among everyone, only Ji Hongshue's expression was normal, but he was also extremely fearful. He grabbed a stalk of black dragon grass and soared into the sky. Mo Wu's pretty figure flashed. She pulled out the long sword from her waist and slashed horizontally in the air. The sharp sword Chi cut off a black dragon grass and swept it high up into the sky. Mo Wu's face lit up with joy. She reached out with her lily-white hand and grabbed it. Then, she immediately soared into the sky. Shun Jiuyin and Chao Xian were about to attack. However, a terrifying black shadow stirred up the sky-shattering water current and slapped over. The two's expressions changed slightly. They gave up on the black dragon grass and quickly retreated. Very soon, they caught up with Mo Wu and Ji Hongxue. The four of them had solemn expressions on their faces as they escaped together. Roar! The heaven-howling fish was unwilling to give up. It shook its 1,000-feet body and chased after him at lightning speed. The sound wave attack was always successful, slowing down the speed of the four people. Attack together! Ji Hongshue's expression changed as he growled. Rumble! Among the four of them, Mo Wu was a Dragon Realm Level 2 lower tier. Chao Xian and Shun Jiuyin were Dragon Realm Level 2 upper tier, and Ji Hongxue was a Dragon Realm Level 2 peak. The combined might of the four of them was enough to shake heaven and earth. However, the heaven-howling fish's eyes revealed a look of contempt. Its house-sized head suddenly collided. Boom! The combined attack of the four was instantly defeated. The remaining shockwaves were reflected back at the four of them. Ji Hongxue grunted. His strong body dissolved the attack directly. Shun Jiuyin's eyebrows creased slightly as a pained expression surfaced on his face. Chao Xian clenched his teeth. The pain was unbearable. He had just broken through to Dragon Realm Level 2 upper tier, and his abilities were not as good as Shun Jiuyin's. However, in an instant, Mo Wu was sent flying by the attack. Puff! The remnant shockwaves bombarded her abdomen, shaking her internal organs. In the blink of an eye, she was seriously injured. But with the rebound force, she was the first to rush out of the Jade Lake. She coughed up blood and staggered to the shore. Whoosh, whoosh! Ji Hongxue and the rest flew back. Other than Ji Hongxue, who was extremely strong, the rest of them were in a sorry state. Mo Wu was even injured internally. Even though they had obtained the Black Dragon plant, the price they paid was high. However, Mo Wu wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. Her beautiful eyes stared at the Black Dragon plant as she smiled with blood in her eyes. Mo Wu, rest for a day. Let your injuries heal first. Ji Hongxue was worried. No need, I can still do it. Mo Wu rejected without hesitation. Ji Hongxue creased his brows. Sharpening the knife will not delay the work of cutting firewood. With your current condition, your injuries will worsen if you insist on entering the water. So what if my injuries worsen? Mo Wu's eyes were filled with determination. There is not much time left. Even if I die, I have to raise my abilities with all my might. Ji Hongxue could not understand why Mo Wu was so stubborn. Could it be that there was something more important than one's future in this world? In the water, Su Yu witnessed the entire process, his gaze turning serious. The four great disciples of the faction had joined forces, but the heaven-howling fish had severely injured one and forced two back. Its abilities had already reached Dragon Realm Level 3 peak. Su Yu, are we really going to target the Divine Dragon Plant? Chan Yunfei clenched her fists, her heart nervous. Chan Leiyun's lips moved. Putting it nicely, Su Yu's idea was extremely daring. Putting it bluntly, it was ignorant and fearless. The heaven-howling fish had easily killed the four great disciples of the faction. Even they only dared to target the Black Dragon plant on the two sides of the ruins. They did not even dare to enter the ruins in the middle. As for Suyu, he had his eyes on the divine dragon plant in the belly of the heaven-howling fish. She only revered Suyu and swallowed her words. Suyu retracted his expression, calmly saying, "Of course. However, before that, I need to do something else. Lure the heaven-howling fish away for a moment. I need to retrieve something," Suyu instructed. "This?" Chan Yunfei's gaze turned serious. She hesitated. Chan Leiyun's face turned pale. "Junior Su, are you joking? The four great disciples are in such a sorry state, even after joining forces. My sister and I will have our hearts crushed by its roar and be transported out?" Suyu smiled. "If you agree, I will reward you handsomely. Moreover, you only need to lure the heaven-howling fish 30 feet away from the ruins. There's no need to go near it. But even if you lure it 30 feet away, the risk is still high." Chan Leiyun secretly clenched his fists, his heart filled with anger. Suyu's request was ridiculous. How could he let someone have a narrow escape from death? However, Chan Yunfei bit her red lips, her gaze flickering. After a while, she said, "Fine, I agree. But the favor that my brother and I owe you will be written off." Chan Yunfei's voice was cold. "Sister." Chan Leiyun was anxious. Chan Yunfei did not allow anyone to interfere. Without looking at Suyu, she grabbed Chan Leiyun and dived into the deep waters, coldly saying, "I have made up my mind. The favor that I owe must be repaid." He wants us to lure the heaven-howling fish away while he goes to pick the spiritual herbs. This is forcing us to our deaths, cutting off the future of the ancient Xianyan temple. He is using the favor as a pretext. How despicable! Chan Leiyun roared furiously. "I feel indignant for my sister. You were tarnished by this hypocrite and taken advantage of." Chan Yunfei bit her lips, her eyes filled with indescribable disappointment. Once upon a time, she had thought that Suyu was a gentleman, helping her twice without asking for anything in return. Her heart had wavered before. At this moment, her heart was filled with bitterness. "I can only blame myself for being blind and owing the wrong favor. After this, there will be no more grudges between us, written off." Chan Yunfei's heart trembled, a layer of mist forming in her eyes. The two of them walked into the deep waters, about a mile away from the heaven-howling fish. 100-flower palm. Chan Yunfei's palms moved continuously, stirring up the water, traveling 5 miles toward the heaven-howling fish. After traveling 5 miles, the palm force that struck the heaven-howling fish was weak, but it still angered the guarding heaven-howling fish. With a fierce glint in its eyes, the heaven-howling fish parted the water, going against the current. "Run quickly." Chan Yunfei's expression turned serious, bringing her brother into the sky. Whoosh! But the heaven-howling fish was extremely fast, quickly catching up to them. The sister and brother were terrified, running with all their might. In no time, they had traveled 5 miles, brushing past Suyu. But when they passed by him, Chan Yunfei's eyes were cold, as though they were strangers. At this moment, Suyu finally made his move. Space control. Suyu's wine-red right eye shone with an unprecedented brilliance. A lump of shapeless space energy descended, enveloping the ruins within a radius of 100 feet. "Rise!" With a low roar, the ruins in the middle suddenly disappeared, leaving behind a huge pit. The heaven-howling fish, which was chasing Chan Yunfei and her brother for only 2 to 3 miles, gave up on chasing them, staring in Suyu's direction. There, 10 miles below the water, was a floating ruin in front of Suyu. 30 black dragon plants and 5 bait white dragon plants were floating quietly. Suyu's eyes glowed, abruptly spitting out divine ice threads. Along with the white dragon plants, 35 precious spiritual plants were severed at the same time, bundled into a ball. Suyu immediately stuffed it into his robes, dashing out of the lake without hesitation. Roar! The heaven-howling fish behind him let out a furious roar. 1/3 of the ruins had been snatched away, along with 5 precious white dragon plants. This roar caused Suyu's body to slightly stiffen. Luckily, he was close to the lake, and with his preparations, he dashed out in one breath. Rumble. Just as Suyu dashed out, a huge black shadow dashed out of the water, its huge mouth the size of a house biting the air. Unfortunately, Suyu had already flown high into the sky. His attack had failed, and he fell into the water resentfully. But it did not leave. Instead, it lingered on the surface of the lake, its fierce eyes staring at Suyu. It let out a furious roar, continuously slapping the surface of the lake, creating huge waves. Unintentionally, it killed many Dragon Realm Level 2 fish demons, causing the Jade Lake to be filled with blood and corpses to litter the ground. Ji Hongxue and the rest of them had a huge change in expression, quickly distancing themselves from the Jade Lake. When they regrouped, everyone was still bewildered. Suyu, what did you do to make the heaven-howling fish so angry? Ji Hongxue was surprised. They had harassed the heaven-howling fish for half a month, but they had never seen it so angry. Suyu rubbed his nose, embarrassed. I only took some of its things. Chao Xian's expression turned serious. You did it. You completely angered it, and it would be extremely difficult for us to continue. Don't you think you should give us an explanation? Whoosh! Chao Xian took a big step, closing in on Suyu. You want to fight? I'll accompany you. With a flash of her beautiful figure, she appeared in front of Suyu, glaring at him. Chao Xian let out a cold smile. Mo Wu, you're no match for me. If you want to leave this place with him, I'll grant you your wish. Chao Xian had been stuck at Dragon Realm Level 2 lower tier for a period of time. His foundation was strong, and he had broken through to upper tier not long after entering the ancient Xinyan Temple. Mo Wu had just entered, and she was still a distance away from breaking through. Coupled with the fact that she had been injured by the heaven-howling fish, she was no match for Chao Xian. So what? If you want to fight, I'll fight with you to the end. Mo Wu let out a cold grunt, drawing her silver sword. Ji Hongxue creased his brows. All right, we need to gather everyone's strength to collect the spirit herbs. It is still too early for us to kill each other. Chao Xian retreated unwillingly, coldly warning, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't meddle in other people's business. You are an unreasonable lunatic, just like your master. Otherwise, don't blame me for sending you away from the ancient Xinyan Temple, ruining your future. Mo Wu's face was ice cold. It was impossible to tell whether she was happy or angry. Suyu, who was standing behind her, could feel that her delicate body was trembling slightly. It was a trembling of anger. Insulting her master was Mo Wu's taboo. However, since she was no match for Chao Xian, she could only choose to endure. Senior sister. Suyu patted her soft shoulders, his heart filled with gratitude. Every time he was bullied, it was Mo Wu who stood up for him. Mo Wu turned her head back coldly and stared at Suyu, who was empty-handed. She clenched her teeth and stuffed the black dragon plant into Suyu's hands. She then said with a cold expression, Take it. Increase your strength so that I don't have to save you every time. Suyu was slightly stunned. He had seen with his own eyes that Mo Wu had suffered serious injuries in order to obtain the black dragon plant. At that very moment, she had actually given it to Suyu. Ji Hongxue was surprised. The black dragon plant that Mo Wu had risked her life to obtain was actually given to Suyu? Senior sister, it took you so much effort to get it. So how can you give it to me? Suyu was surprised. Unexpectedly, Mo Wu sneered. Difficult? Can a mere black dragon grass trouble me? I can go to the bottom of the lake at any time and pick another one. She did not know that Suyu had seen the entire scene of them taking the black dragon plant with his powerful eyesight. Use it with peace of mind. I can get as many of these things as you want. Mo Wu waved her hands. But at that moment, her serious injuries acted up. She coughed violently, and a stream of blood splattered. Covering her mouth hurriedly, Mo Wu's face turned red, and she stared fiercely at Suyu. What are you looking at? I have too much blood. Can I spit out some? Suyu was stunned on the spot, his heart trembling. Warmth flowed into his heart silently. After a while, Suyu let out a warm smile. He took a step forward and held Mo Wu's hand. Without intentionally counting, Suyu took out a bunch of spiritual plants from his robes. There were black dragon plants and a white dragon plant, and he stuffed them all in her hands. That's right, these are just spiritual plants. Senior sister, feel free to use them. After you finish them, I still have more. Seeing that scene, everyone was first stunned. Then their expressions changed. Ji Hongshue's sharp eyes dilated abruptly, losing his voice as he said, "White dragon plant? And 10 black dragon plants?" Chao Xian's expression changed with shock. How can you have so many spiritual plants? But after that, Chao Xian's gaze turned cold. Humph. Despicable. Snatching the spiritual plants while we were luring the heaven-howling fish away? Spit out all the spiritual plants you have taken. Russell Chao Xian's eyes were filled with greed and murderous intent, and he attacked Suyu rapidly. Chapter 197. Chao Xian's attack was sudden and ruthless. Ji Hongxue was far away and could not stop him. Beside him, Shun Jiuyin's lips curled up slightly. Only Mo Wu recovered from the shock. Her pretty eyes were cold, and she could not suppress her anger. Chao Xian, don't go too far. So what if I've gone too far? Chao Xian attacked brazenly with a swift and fierce posture. He looked past Mo Wu and stared at Suyu coldly. Kneel down. Mo Wu was so angry that she laughed. She clenched her teeth and said, "You have to get past me first." Mo Wu twirled the silver sword in her hand. Just as she was about to attack, Suyu placed his hand on her shoulder and said indifferently, "It is better for us men to settle our own affairs. You can rest on the side." Mo Wu did not know why. Although the words were plainly spoken, they conveyed an extremely strong sense of confidence to Mo Wu's ears. She subconsciously obeyed and dodged slightly. Before he could react, Suyu had already taken a step forward. 6 fingers of destruction. Chao Xian had comprehended the second level of the 6 fingers of destruction, but it wasn't considered outstanding. However, his cultivation level had reached Dragon Realm Level 2 peak, and he had absolute suppression. Therefore, when they worked together, the power they could unleash was not to be underestimated. Boom! The raging flames were dense, and the spiritual pressure was astonishing. Mo Wu's pretty face froze. The difference in spiritual energy between Saint Kings was only 30%. But in the Dragon Realm, there was a difference of 50%. So you run quickly. Mo Wu only had time to shout. However, Chao Xian's murderous intent was at its peak. How could he give Suyu the chance to escape? Get down on your knees, you little bastard. The humiliation of castration transformed into a raging flame that burned in his chest. Suyu's expression was calm, and the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. Fine, I'll send you out of here. Out of sight, out of mind. Within Suyu's dantian, the sound of rolling waves could be heard. Surprisingly, the liquid spiritual energy was surging and rolling to the fire cloud mark between his eyebrows. The fire cloud imprint pulsed, and a trace of extreme cold swept out. It was as if the gates of the frozen hell had been opened in an instant. Endless frost rushed into the human world and sealed the world in ice. Boom! The fiery red ice flame covered the sky and covered the earth. It collided with the sweeping 6 fingers of destruction. A monstrous tremor shook the surroundings. The wild wind blew, the flowers flew, and the lake rippled. Li Jun and the other 2 retreated in fear to avoid being affected. Junior Su has clearly just broken through to the Dragon Realm. How could his spiritual energy reserves be so terrifying? Li Jun's face was filled with shock. Compared to the spiritual energy he revealed just now, Suyu revealed all of his spiritual energy at that moment. His spiritual energy was twice that of someone of the same level. It was comparable to a Dragon Realm Level 2 upper tier. Rub, rub, rub. Amidst the smoke and dust, the 2 figures each took 4 steps back. Chao Xian's cold face had already frozen, and he was incomparably stiff. He was so shocked that he didn't even notice that his right fist was covered in a layer of bone-piercing coldness that was eroding his vitality. You broke through to Dragon Realm Level 1 upper tier. Chao Xian could not believe it. A month ago, Suyu was merely a 7th level lower tier holy king in the meteorite forest. At that time, Chao Xian could kill him with a single finger, but in just a short month, he was actually on par with him. Mo Wu widened her pretty eyes and gasped. How is this possible? She felt as if she was in a dream. In her eyes, her junior brother, who she had to protect, had actually surpassed her in strength. Chao Xian was anxious. The potential that Suyu had displayed was too terrifying. He could not give Suyu the chance to continue growing. Senior Shun Jiuyin, please lend me a hand. Chao Xian clenched his teeth, swearing to cut off Suyu's future. Shun Jiuyin had a sinister expression as he let out a hoarse laugh. Interesting. In just a month, you have become a 7th level lower tier holy king and broken through to Dragon Realm level 1 upper tier. The speed at which your abilities have increased is astonishing. Senior Shun, this person is dangerous. Let's attack together. Chao Xian was anxious. Shun Jiuyin calmly glanced at him. Do I need to ally with others to deal with a mere Suyu? Watch from the sidelines. Useless trash. Hearing the reprimand, Chao Xian's face heated up, his heart filled with resentment. Shun Jiuyin was the great elder's disciple. In front of Shun Jiuyin, Chao Xian had always been a head lower. Coupled with the fact that his abilities were not as good as Shun Jiuyin's, it was even more difficult for him to raise his head. Now that he was being reprimanded in front of everyone, the pent-up frustration he had accumulated for a long time formed a shred of resentment. If I, Chao Xian, succeed, I will definitely teach you a lesson. Shun Jiuyin turned his head and fixed his gaze on Suyu once again, letting out a sinister laugh. Although I am looking forward to having another opponent, I am not a pedantic person. Your potential makes me uneasy, so I hope that you will sever your chances with the ancient Xianyan Temple. Hand over the rest of the spirit herbs, and I can consider giving you a chance to kill yourself, Shun Jiuyin said calmly. Suyu's lips curled into a mocking smile. Do you really think that you can defeat me? Suyu. Mo Wu stepped forward to block Suyu, her beautiful eyes revealing a rare, deep fear. Don't fight him head-on. Quickly escape. He is more dangerous than you think. He is the rumored abnormal spirit, able to transform through abnormal spirits. After transforming, he is extremely frightening, Mo Wu said seriously. Even the 10th Elder had to use more than 10 moves to defeat him. So he raised his eyebrows. A abnormal spirit that could transform. His abilities were comparable to the 10th Elder, who was Dragon Realm level 4. But after transforming, Shun Jiuyin lost his rationality, thus forbidding him from using it during sparring. That is why his ranking is slightly lower than Ji Hongxue. Mo Wu revealed the unknown inside story. The true number 1 disciple of the faction might not be Ji Hongxue. So, I will block him now. You escape quickly. Mo Wu's expression was unprecedentedly serious. The true number 1 disciple of the faction was Shun Jiuyin. Taking a light breath, Suyu's expression turned serious, but he shook his head coldly. No, I cannot escape. Other than the divine dragon herb, he still had one more important task that he had yet to complete. He had to find a phoenix blood elixir. Escaping is futile. Leave behind the spirit herbs and give you the chance to kill yourself. I have already done my part. Shun Jiuyin laughed indifferently. Suyu's expression returned to normal, his eyes like a lake in autumn and winter. Why would I, Suyu, be afraid of a fight? Shun Jiuyin's indifferent laugh gradually turned gloomy, his voice quickly becoming sinister. You have guts, but you are very ignorant. The battle between the two of them was about to begin. Whoosh! A majestic figure stood in between the two of them, his sharp gaze shaking people's hearts, coldly saying, Is this the time for internal strife? A terrifying aura descended with a loud rumble. Suyu's pupils dilated. Dragon Realm Level 3. Shun Jiuyin's expression turned rigid, seriously saying, You have a breakthrough. After half a month of harvesting, Shun Jiuyin had harvested the black dragon herb many times, finally breaking through to Dragon Realm Level 3. The powerful aura made it hard for people to breathe. Suyu even had the illusion that if Ji Hongxue wanted to, He could suppress him with a finger. Coldly glaring at the two of them, Ji Hongshue's gaze drifted to Suyu, a shred of fighting spirit remaining in his eyes. You have improved very quickly. I hope that you can become my rival in the future. Now I am invincible. In the past, Suyu could still pique Ji Hongshue's interest. Now that he had reached the terrifying Dragon Realm level 3, Suyu could no longer make him feel threatened. Can you give me a stalk of white dragon herb? We can exchange. Ji Hongxue spoke. He had already reached Dragon Realm level 3. The effects of the black dragon herb were negligible. He could only try the white dragon herb. Su Yu's gaze flickered, straightforwardly agreeing. Of course, but you have to promise me something. Help me get the divine dragon herb. The specific request is to help me restrain the heaven-howling fish for a moment. Restrain the heaven-howling fish? Ji Hongxue raised his brows, shaking his head. Even if I had a breakthrough to Dragon Realm, I am not confident that I could deal with it. But if Junior Shun is willing to help, there is a chance. His transformation abilities are not to be underestimated. Ji Hongxue paused for a moment before continuing. Hearing this, Shun Join's eyes burned with passion. Chuckling, if you give me a stalk of white dragon herb, I can naturally lend you a hand. Him? Su Yu creased his brows, nodding his head calmly. If you give it your all, of course you can. Rest for a day. We will act tomorrow. Once we are done, I will give you the white dragon herb with both hands, Su Yu calmly said. Mo Wu bit her lips, holding 10 stalks of black dragon herb and 1 stalk of white dragon herb in her hands. To Mo Wu, who was eager to break through, the weight of this favor was self-evident. Biting her teeth, Mo Wu said, Do you have any wishes that you have not fulfilled? I will use my life to repay you. My wish. Su Yu laughed softly and shook his head slightly. My wish, I will fulfill it myself. These spirit herbs are my repayment for protecting you for the past half a year. You need not take it to heart. I will not owe you a favor. I will definitely return it to you in the future. Mo Wu grunted stubbornly, her face slightly red. She, who was proud, would not allow herself to owe Su Yu a favor. Everyone rested on the spot. Only 2 figures quietly retreated. Senior Chan, Su Yu called out softly. The beautiful figure trembled, stopping on the spot. Chan Yunfei turned her head back stiffly, biting her red lips. She was in awe and bitterness, but her eyes were filled with coldness. Junior Su, what can I do for you? Chan Leiyun was filled with fear, not even daring to breathe. He bent his body, not daring to meet Su Yu's gaze. After not seeing Su Yu for half a month, Su Yu's abilities had increased tremendously, to the point where he could compete with the 4 great disciples. This made the sister and brother worried, wondering if Su Yu would take revenge. After all, they were well aware of the fact that they were strangers in the lake. Senior, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Su Yu strode over. Was he looking for trouble? Chan Yunfei felt bitter and wronged. She was grateful to Su Yu for helping her twice, so she forgave Su Yu for tarnishing her innocence. But who would have thought that Su Yu was such a hypocrite? Not only did he make such an outrageous request, his abilities had increased greatly, but he still wanted to settle the score. The grievance in her heart caused her eyes to tear up, but the pride in her heart caused her to stick out her chest. Her tear-stained eyes stared at Su Yu stubbornly. If you have anything to say, just say it. Chan Yunfei's tearful expression caused Su Yu to be stunned. Senior Yu, I am only fulfilling my promise and distributing the spirit herbs to you. Did I do anything wrong? Whoosh! Su Yu took out a white dragon plant and 5 black dragon plants, stuffing them into Chan Yunfei's hands. Rumble! Chan Yunfei and her brother felt as if they were struck by lightning, stunned on the spot. Chapter 198. If not for the 2 of you luring the heaven-howling fish away, I would not have succeeded. You deserve this. Su Yu did not understand the siblings' reactions. Finally, after a while, the siblings regained their senses. The 2 of them felt guilty. How could they not understand that they had misunderstood Su Yu? At that time, Su Yu had sincerely cooperated with them, and he had not forced them to die because of their kindness. Chan Yunfei's heart was filled with guilt. Her face was filled with tears, her face red with shame. Junior, Chan Yunfei clenched her fists, feeling inferior in front of Suyu. In the end, she was the one who gauged the heart of a gentleman with her own mean measure. Seeing her stutter, Suyu was even more confused. Senior, did I offend you in any way? Chan Yunfei bit her lips, too ashamed to face Suyu's clear eyes. She wished she could find a hole to hide in. She was even more ashamed to voice out the filth in her heart. After stuttering for a while, she clenched her teeth and took a step forward. She hooked her arms around Suyu's neck and threw herself into his embrace. At that moment, a warm and fragrant body entered his embrace. That pair of round and plump breasts pressed against Suyu's chest. The warmth and softness spread throughout his body like an electric shock. The faint fragrance of her body wafted into his nose, intoxicating him. Looking down, Chan Yunfei, in his embrace, was blushing. Her eyes were filled with an intoxicating glow, filled with uncontrollable shyness. Following her snowy neck, the two alluring collarbones reflected a faint fluorescent light. Further down was a faintly discernible snowy peak, as well as a deep ravine. Suyu was caught off guard by the sudden allure. I'm sorry, Junior. Chan Yunfei's breath smelled like orchids. She extended her head and pressed her lips against Suyu's. A moment later, their lips parted. A faint fragrance lingered. The softness was shocking, reverberating around his lips. Chan Yunfei's eyes were red, her voice like a mosquito. This is my apology to you. I hope you can forgive me. After saying this, her delicate figure left, bringing along the dumbfounded Chan Leiyun to find a safe place to absorb the spirit herbs. It was only then that Suyu touched his lips subconsciously. His face was filled with confusion. Even now, he still did not understand where this kiss had come from. Mo Wu, who was at the side, was stunned for a moment. She felt an inexplicable tightness in her chest. She couldn't help but sneer and say, Hee, Junior Marshall brother, you're quite lucky with women. You only need to give some spiritual herbs to get a beauty to throw herself into your arms. Do you want me to repay you? It was only after Mo Wu finished speaking that she realized the jealousy in her words. Her face immediately turned red and her delicate body stiffened. Suyu was feeling guilty. Hence, he did not notice Mo Wu's expression and laughed embarrassedly. A moment later, silence returned to the field. Suyu and Mo Wu sat side by side. In anticipation, he took out a white dragon plant and several black dragon plants. 3 stalks of black dragon grass could raise his cultivation by 1 level. A stalk of white dragon grass could raise one's cultivation level by 1 level. With 4 of them, wouldn't he be able to directly enter Dragon Realm Level 2? If you plan to swallow the divine dragon grass, it's best that you don't swallow the other spiritual herbs. Mo Wu's face still had a trace of crimson, like the sunset in the sky, cool and elegant. Why? Suyu was puzzled. He was just about to make a huge breakthrough. Mo Wu rolled her eyes at him. No matter how good a spiritual herb is, it's just a spiritual herb. It can't be compared to a pill. The more spiritual herbs you swallow, the less effective it will be. This is because if you swallow too much, your body will develop a resistance to the spiritual herbs. If you swallow the white dragon plant and the black dragon plant now, the effects of the divine dragon grass will be greatly reduced. Mo Wu reminded him. But the chances of you obtaining the divine dragon grass is almost 0. Swallowing the white dragon plant now is not a bad idea. Is that so? Suyu rubbed his chin, thinking for a moment. He then put away the 2 spiritual herbs in disappointment. Mo Wu's eyes were filled with anticipation as she absorbed the white dragon plant. Walala, the effects of the white dragon plant were 3 times that of the black dragon plant. After absorbing it, Mo Wu's cultivation level rose at a speed that could be seen by the naked eye. After half a cup of tea's time, under the effect of the last bit of the medicinal effects, she successfully reached Dragon Realm Level 2 upper tier. Suyu silently nodded. The effects of the medicinal effects had indeed weakened. Mo Wu had trained in the ancient Xianyan Temple for a month. Her cultivation level was not far from Dragon Realm Level 2 upper tier. With the effects of the white dragon plant, she could easily make a breakthrough. But in reality, she barely succeeded. The reason was that she had swallowed the black dragon plant previously, causing the effects of the white dragon plant to decrease. Within a day, Mo Wu had swallowed 10 black dragon plants consecutively. But the effects were so weak that it made one's hair stand on end. The medicinal effects of 3 white dragon plants had only allowed her to break through another level, reaching Dragon Realm Level 2 peak. To Mo Wu, the effects of the white dragon plant were only equivalent to the first black dragon plant. But Mo Wu herself was already wild with joy. Even though her icy face tried her best to remain calm, her trembling body could not hide the joy in her heart. In a mere month, she had reached Dragon Realm Level 2 peak. Dragon Realm Level 3 was just around the corner. Chao Xian's expression was extremely gloomy. With Su Yu's help, Mo Wu's cultivation level had improved by leaps and bounds, suppressing him by an entire level. Even Shan Jiuyin's cultivation level had been surpassed by Mo Wu. Seeing that he was being surpassed by one person after another, Chao Xian was extremely anxious. This cannot continue. At that moment, a day had passed. Su Yu stood up, his eyes filled with anticipation. All right, let's begin. Ji Hongxue and Shan Jiuyin followed Su Yu to the shore. Even though Mo Wu and Chao Xian did not attack, they were curious about what Su Yu wanted to do. At that moment, the heaven-howling fish was still swimming crazily in the lake, roaring continuously. Restrain it. Keep its mouth open for a moment. Su Yu's eyes flashed. Ji Hongxue froze. Could it be that you want to enter its body and pluck the divine dragon plant? But we cannot restrain it for too long, at least not enough for you to go back and forth. You do not have to worry about this. Once I enter it, I will find a way to come out. Hearing this, Ji Hongxue agreed. Junior Shun, let's attack. To restrain it, we need to go all out. 8-armed demon snake. Ji Hongxue let out a low grunt. Puff, puff, puff. Within Ji Hongxue's body, a bright red viscous liquid flowed out. At first glance, it looked like fresh blood, shocking everyone. But upon closer inspection, one would realize that it was blood energy that had been condensed to the extreme. Blood energy was so strong that it could liquefy. Just how strong was Ji Hongxue's physical body? Crash! The liquefied blood energy formed 8 long arms behind Ji Hongxue's back. Every single one of its arms was emitting a frightening power. Shen Jiuyin was deep in the swallow's nest, his battle intent burning. He laughed excitedly. After a year, I finally see it again, 8-armed demon snake. Stage 3 upper class of the legacy level technique. Just one step away from the legendary top class. Only 3 people in the faction had managed to train a legacy level technique to the top class. The Great Elder and the Second Elder. The last person was the faction master. Ji Hongxue had trained it to stage 3 upper class, far surpassing most of the elders. In terms of potential, Ji Hongxue was only below the heaven-favored goddess, the Second Elder. If that is the case, I will give it my all. Shen Jiuyin let out a long roar. Spirit transformation. Crack, crack. Within Shen Jiuyin's body, a bone-chilling sound of bones cracking could be heard. His bones were undergoing a shocking transformation. At the same time, his flesh was expanding rapidly. As everyone's scalps turned numb, Shan Jiuyin grew from a skinny young man to 3 times his size. A 5-meter-tall, inhuman figure, blood-colored muscles from the explosive suit, and a sinister and terrifying face. This was no longer a human, but a giant gorilla. His evil energy was turbulent, his evil energy terrifying, emitting a destructive aura. Ji Hongxue's eyes were serious and filled with battle intent. Only you can compete with me. Do it before I lose my rationality. Shen Jiuyin laughed coldly, taking a step forward. Rumble. At once, the Jade Lake's giant waves slammed into the sky. With one step, a 500-foot giant wave was formed. Ji Hongxue finally made his move. 8 arms came crashing down with a force that could shake the heavens. Mo Wu gasped. Even though her cultivation level was stronger than Shan Jiuyin's, She had no doubt that if she were to face the transformed Shun Jiuyin, she would be killed with one punch. Suyu stared at Ji Hongxue, his eyes serious. As expected of the faction's #1 disciple, with this level of physical strength, you have the ability to fight beyond your realm. The two of them joined forces to attack the Heaven-Howling Fish. Facing the attacks of two Dragon Realm Level 3 upper-tier fighters, the Heaven-Howling Fish had a look of disdain, opening its mouth to spit out sound waves. Rumble. The combined attacks of the two of them were dissolved by the sound waves. At the same time, Ji Hongxue and Shun Jiuyin's bodies shook violently, their movements stagnating. Taking advantage of the opportunity, the Heaven-Howling Fish revealed a mocking expression. Its head, which was the size of a house, came crashing over like a mountain. Bang, bang. Ji Hongxue and Shun Jiuyin's expressions changed, using all their strength to block the attack. But under this huge force, the two of them were sent flying on the spot, crashing back onto the shore, breaking a few giant rocks. Puff! Shun Jiuyin spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, his ferocious face revealing surprise. Ji Hongxue let out a groan, the corner of his mouth overflowing with bright red blood. With one attack, it had seriously injured two Dragon Realm Level 3 fighters who were using all their strength. Evil creature. Shun Jiuyin was enraged, his blood-red eyes gradually losing their calm. Roar! With a roar, Shun Jiuyin pounded his chest, roaring as he pounced forward. Ji Hongxue clenched his teeth, pouncing forward as well. This time around, the two of them split into two directions, attacking from the sides to avoid being hit by a heavy blow. The Heaven-Howling Fish sneered, its giant head swaying crazily, trying in vain to send the two of them flying. But the two of them were outstanding, their potential shocking. At the critical moment, they exploded with all their strength. Rumble. The two of them attacked from the left and right. Ji Hongxue's 8 arms pressed against the left side of the Heaven-Howling Fish's head, while Shun Jiuyin's giant body pressed against the right side of the Heaven-Howling Fish's head, freezing it in place. Moreover, because of the huge force, the Heaven-Howling Fish's mouth naturally opened. Quick! Ji Hongxue roared anxiously. We cannot hold on for 2 breaths. 2 breaths is enough. In the sky, a clear voice could be heard. Suyu, who had long prepared himself, opened his Ice Phoenix divine wings and charged towards the Heaven-Howling Fish's mouth. After 1 breath, Suyu had charged to the front of the Heaven-Howling Fish's mouth. But just as Suyu was prepared to enter, the Heaven-Howling Fish was enraged, its gills flapping violently. Rumble! Ji Hongxue spat out blood. Like a rock, he was sent flying 300 meters away, crashing into a small mountain. The unprecedented shock caused his internal organs to rupture, causing him to vomit blood nonstop. Shun Jiuyin was in an even more miserable state. The flesh and blood of his entire body were torn apart by the huge force. Cracks covered his entire body, as if his body was about to collapse. He fainted on the spot from the impact. Chapter 199. Crack. Just as he was about to enter, the sound of teeth clenching could be heard from behind him. A blade of wind brushed past Suyu's back. Creak. At that moment, a wound as deep as a thumb spurted out a large amount of blood. If it had gone any deeper, it would have injured his heart. Hiss! Suyu gasped, the burning pain causing him to grimace. He hurriedly stopped and revolved his energy to stop the flow of blood. Inspecting the shocking injury, Suyu had a lingering fear. He had almost lost his life, but with the threat of death, he had successfully entered the stomach of the Heaven-Howling Fish. His figure flickered, Suyu followed the body of the Heaven-Howling Fish and entered its tail. Within the flesh of its tail was a blood-red spirit herb, swaying gently. Its shape was the same as the black dragon plant and the white dragon plant. The only difference was the color. Divine Dragon Herb. It can raise one's cultivation level. Suyu's eyes were filled with excitement. He had finally found it. Suyu wanted to grab it with his hands, but the Divine Dragon Herb avoided it. Suyu's eyes flickered, and a grave look appeared on his face. At that moment, Yun Yazi's calm voice came from his robes. Even though this spirit herb is far from the level of a divine herb, it has absorbed the essence of the heaven-howling fish over the years and is somewhat pure. If you grab it with your hands, the medicinal effects will be reduced by 30%. Is that so? Suyu retracted his hand, thinking for a moment before taking out a small, broken jade shovel. It was the exquisite jade shovel he had obtained from the meteorite forest, specially used to dig for divine herbs. It has finally come in handy. Suyu was filled with anticipation. He sat cross-legged and revolved the artifact control technique to control the broken divine artifact. It was his first time controlling an unfamiliar divine artifact. With Suyu's rusty techniques, he would need a day or so, while he was controlling the divine artifact in the outside world. Ji Hongshua's blood was pale. The injury on his abdomen was slightly alleviated. But Shun Juin's injuries were too severe, and he was still unconscious, being looked after by Chao Xian. The abilities of that heaven-howling fish are stronger than expected. I'm afraid it is about to reach Dragon Realm Level 4. This deal is a loss. Ji Hongxue let out a bitter laugh. Mo Wu, who was at the side, had a worried expression. Why isn't he out yet? Did something happen? There's no need to worry. Junior brother, Su, has entered with confidence. I'm sure he will be able to retreat safely. As for us, I'm afraid we have to be careful. Ji Hongshua's expression turned solemn as he stared at the horizon. There, a small black and white that was approaching from afar. Chila. In the blink of an eye, he was still on the horizon, but suddenly he appeared above their heads. Looking over, it was the white tiger that had been pacing back and forth a few days ago. White Tiger scanned the surroundings. His cold tiger eyes flashed with anger and humiliation. It took me a long time to find you. So you're here? Based on his scent, the white tiger could sense that Suyu was nearby. Where's the silver-haired kid? The white tiger floated in the air and looked down from above. Its tiger eyes swept across Mo Wu and the other two people as if it was looking at ants. The three of them trembled. This gaze made them feel as if they were being cut by a knife. White Tiger's casual question sounded like a clap of thunder in their ears. The trio's ears buzzed, and they all bled at the same time. What a terrifying white tiger! Even Ji Hongxue felt a sense of death at this moment. If the white tiger was willing, the three of them could instantly fly, and they would not even have the chance to be transported out. Mo Wu clenched her teeth, unwilling to speak. Ji Hongxue was struggling, trying hard to regain his composure from his fear. Only Chao Xian did not hesitate, his eyes filled with vengeance. The person you're looking for is called Suyu. He is in the stomach of the heaven-howling fish in the Jade Lake, trying to snatch the divine dragon herb. In his heart, Chao Xian could not stop laughing. He had actually provoked the most terrifying white tiger in the Sky Garden. This time, Suyu's life would be at this place forever. In the stomach of that small fish? Humph! The white tiger's tone was indifferent, letting out a cold grunt of disdain. But looking at the rippling lake water, its eyes revealed a look of disgust. It lingered above the Jade Lake, unwilling to enter. The white tiger was naturally afraid of water, unwilling to enter. Coupled with its aura, the heaven-howling fish did not dare to come up. How long is he going to stay? The white tiger's body crackled with lightning, showing its anger. Chao Xian hurriedly said, "Not too long. Humph. Kid, let's see where you can escape to." The white tiger let out a light grunt, flying to the side of the lake and waiting. Once Suyu came out, he would only be killed in seconds in front of a terrifying existence like the white tiger. Mo Wu glared at the sneering Chao Xian, her heart burning with anxiety. Suyu was in the water, completely unaware of the situation outside. Once he came out, a day's time quickly passed. Suyu finally gained control of the exquisite jade shovel in the stomach of the heaven-howling fish. Filled with anticipation, Suyu used the shovel to carefully dig out the blood-red divine dragon herb. Within the jade shovel, a faint fluorescent light was reflected, protecting the divine dragon herb, preventing it from being damaged in the slightest. A complete and pure divine dragon herb appeared before Suyu's eyes. Store it first. You can consume it after refining it with flames, Yun Yazi said. Suyu nodded, finding a clean jade bottle and storing the divine dragon herb within. Only then did Suyu heave a sigh of relief. Calculating the time, Suyu's eyes glowed with determination. Calculating the time, more than half the time has passed in the ancient Xianyan temple. The third level of the eternal stairs is about to descend. Once he stepped onto the eternal stairs, he would never be able to return. But Suyu had to go. According to his calculations, the disciple who possessed the phoenix blood elixir would most likely die on the eternal stairs. The first level of the meteorite forest and the second level of the sky garden would not cause death. Only the third level of the eternal stairs would be sealed for eternity upon entering. Since the disciple had not come out, he was definitely on the eternal stairs. There was only a month left until the descent of Sienner's Phoenix of Death. Suyu had no other choice. At this moment, the space of the second level suddenly shook. A huge gap appeared in the blue sky. A spiral staircase descended from the gap, leading straight to the surface. Furthermore, it was located in the middle of the Jade Lake. Beside the lake, Ji Hongxue and the other two were filled with fear. The faction master had repeatedly forbidden entry. The third level, the eternal stairs, had descended. Those who entered would definitely die. The white tiger turned its head, its indifferent eyes filled with fear for the first time. It grunted softly. I wonder if that damn bird is still on the third level. But at this moment, the white tiger's gaze turned serious, piercing through the surface of the lake and looking at the bottom. Within the heaven-howling fish, Suyu took a deep breath. It has finally appeared, the eternal stairs. Whoosh! Suyu walked to the front of the heaven-howling fish's mouth, the fire cloud seal between his brows throbbing. Glazed ice flame. Creak! Extreme coldness erupted from the heaven-howling fish's mouth. Although the heaven-howling fish was almost invincible, its body was still a weak point. With a roar, the heaven-howling fish opened its mouth subconsciously. Suyu's gaze flashed, seizing the opportunity to rush out. But at the moment when Suyu rushed out, the heaven-howling fish's eyes were filled with cunning and savagery. Taking advantage of the moment when Suyu rushed out, its sharp teeth abruptly closed. The heaven-howling fish had already sensed that Suyu was within its body. It had intentionally created an opportunity for Suyu to give him a fatal bite. Same old trick. Suyu's expression was calm, letting out a cold laugh. Seal of time. With a low grunt, Suyu's left eye exploded with a deep purple light. At once, the heaven-howling fish's giant head was frozen in time and space. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Suyu escaped, spreading his ice phoenix divine wings, and charged out of the lake. Roar! The heaven-howling fish was furious, roaring furiously as it chased. But at this moment, Suyu flicked his finger lightly. A divine ice thread that was hard to detect with the naked eye suddenly moved. Rumble! The divine ice thread was connected to the internal organs of the heaven-howling fish. Although the internal organs were not torn, they were severely injured. The furious heaven-howling fish let out a pathetic cry, its chasing figure slowing down at once. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Suyu charged 10 miles away in one breath. But before Suyu could rejoice, his body suddenly stiffened, his hair standing on end. A spine-chilling feeling engulfed his heart like a torrent, because he suddenly sensed an extremely terrifying gaze staring at him from afar. Using his crystalline pupils, Suyu saw through the 5-mile surface of the lake and saw the white tiger clearly. His scalp turned him at once. At this moment, the white tiger's eyes revealed a human-like mocking smile as it stared at him from afar. Kid, you should be content to die for making me wait for an entire day. The white tiger's heart was filled with rage. Suyu's mood was extremely heavy. When did he provoke the white tiger? Could it be the 5-color honey? Suyu's heart was thumping, his face filled with hatred. The eternal stairs was right in front of him, but he could not enter. The only consolation was that the white tiger was afraid of the lake water and did not dare enter. Even though the power of the black thunderbolt was strong, it was dispersed into the water and its power was limited. Hence, If Su Yu hid in the lake water, the white tiger would not be able to do anything to him. As if it had already seen through this, the white tiger let out a cold grunt. I'll give you 3 breaths time to come out. If you miss 1 breath's time, I will kill one of your friends. Its ferocious tiger eyes suddenly glared at Mo Wu and the other 2 people. What? Kill us? Chao Xian's face turned green. White tiger. Elder, I have a deep grudge against him. Killing me will only. Did I allow you to speak? The white tiger glared coldly. Whew! Chao Xian's face turned pale, abruptly spitting out a mouthful of blood, his face filled with shock, severely injuring him with one look. Just what kind of frightening realm was this white tiger at? Mo Wu and Ji Hongshua's expressions changed greatly. This white tiger was using them as a hostage? If Su Yu refused to come out, then wouldn't they? Su Yu was furious. This damned white tiger had gone too far. 1 breath's time. The white tiger's eyes were filled with mockery, shooting a ferocious smile toward Mo Wu. I will start with you. You seem to be most concerned about the silver-haired kid. Creak, creak. The white tiger's body was surging with lightning. In a split second, it was about to attack. Stop! A furious roar came from the lake. Walala! Su Yu's face was filled with anger, charging out of the lake, coldly saying, I will stay, let them go. The white tiger let out a mocking laugh. In my eyes, you are nothing. You do not have the right to bargain with me. Hand over the 5-color honey. Immediately now. Mo Wu and the other 2 people swallowed fiercely. This white tiger was a nature-defying existence in the 2nd level. Their fates were completely in the hands of the white tiger. But facing the white tiger's overbearing attitude, Su Yu's anger gradually faded, replaced by a cold expression. I have had enough of the feeling of my fate being controlled by others. No one can control my fate, not even the heavens. The white tiger calmly shook its head. Ignorant fool, in the face of absolute power, your words are but a laughable struggle. Is that so? Then I will let you see the surprise I have prepared for you. So you let out a mocking smile. Chapter 200. Space Manipulation. Su Yu let out a low grunt. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The deep wine-red color was like the clouds under the setting sun. It was beautiful. The white tiger was caught off guard and was covered in the wine-red. At that moment, the space trembled. A formless ripple appeared around its body and enveloped it. The white tiger's playful gaze revealed shock for the first time. Power of space. You are proficient in space talent. Roar. The white tiger sensed that something was wrong. It roared and tried to break free, but it was too late. Creak. The space teleportation had teleported it 10 miles away. Furthermore, it was the place it hated the most, Jade Lake. Gurgle. When the power of space dissipated, a wave of lake water flooded over and drowned the white tiger. A look of panic appeared in the tiger's eyes. It clumsily flailed its limbs and swam upwards. But the surging lake water had soaked its fur. The lightning on its body was also diverted in all directions by the lake water. The powerful white tiger had become a drenched dog in an instant. Kid, I'll kill you. The white tiger flew into a rage out of humiliation. As it crawled to the surface of the lake in a sorry state, it roared furiously. A deep murderous intent appeared in its tiger eyes. There had never been anyone who could fool him. Su Yu was the first. Enjoy the surprise I have prepared for you, drenched dog. Su Yu let out a light laugh. Without hesitation, he shot towards the spiral staircase. Before he left, he took out 2 stalks of white dragon grass. He threw one stalk to Ji Hongxue and the other to Shun Jiuyin, who had just woken up. Su Yu, what are you doing? Mo Wu saw Su Yu's actions, and her heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Su Yu wanted to enter the eternal stairs? Rumble. Suddenly, Mo Wu's mind was filled with a rumble. She suddenly understood what Su Yu wanted to do. To find the Phoenix Blood Elixir. The disciple with the Phoenix Blood Elixir did not return. He had most likely died on the eternal stairs. Looking at Mo Wu, Su Yu bowed and smiled. I, Su Yu, am alone in the Lucian faction. I only have one friend, Senior. It is my honor to know you. When Mo Wu heard the parting words, she felt a surge of sorrow in her chest. She had personally witnessed Su Yu's arduous journey from a nameless junior to where he was today. Everything he did was for Xian, and Li Guang. What shocked her the most was the fallen star competition, the icy green ripples, and the unwillingness to go against the will of heaven forsaking me. I would rather become a demon at the moment of despair. At that time, his figure was so thin, his strength so low, and his face so unfamiliar. However, this was the first time someone had shaken her soul. It was also at that moment that this figure was forever engraved in his heart, unforgettable in this life. Now, Su Yu had finally reached the final step. Back then, his master had said that it was impossible for Su Yu to complete the task. However, Su Yu had used his unwillingness to go against his will to overcome it. However, the last step might be to leave this world forever. At this moment, Mo Wu was suddenly afraid. She could no longer see that tenacious figure sailing against the current. It was just like when Su Yu was buried in the poisonous fog in the abyss of Wudong. He was so lost, frustrated, and sorrowful. This was because Su Yu was the person she was pursuing. During the battle at the icy azure lake, Su Yu had become the target of many people's pursuit. That figure was engraved in Mo Wu's heart. When Mo Wu was lonely, hesitant, and helpless, she could see the direction to move forward. He wanted her to understand that there was someone in this world who was walking against the current just like her. He was more sorrowful than her, but more tenacious. This was Mo Wu's inner monologue that she had never told anyone. No one would believe that Mo Wu, one of the 4 great disciples, would chase after a small junior of a martial path. Su Yu. Mo Wu's eyes were sparkling. Can you stay? This farewell might be an eternal farewell. Perhaps she would no longer be able to see that figure who worked hard, persevered, and advanced silently. The wind of the azure lake blew Su Yu's silver hair, and a desolate feeling arose in Su Yu's heart. Sienna is an obsession that I can never give up. If she were to die, who would I live for in this world? The desolate sigh was like a horn that swept through the depths of Su Yu's heart. If she were to die, who would I live for in this world? Mo Wu felt a stab of pain in her heart. She could not bear it, but she also felt a sense of tenderness. Could it be that Su Yu had never thought of living for himself? Living for someone else, like her, Mo Wu? Senior sister, I have one last request. If I do not return, please carve my name, Su Yu, in front of Sienna's grave. Su Yu cupped his fists and bowed, wearing a desolate and resolute smile. I could not accompany her in life, but in death, please allow my name to accompany her until the end of time. Su Yu. Mo Wu could no longer hold back the pain in her heart. 2 streams of tears flowed down her beautiful cheeks. A mournful cry revealed the pain in Mo Wu's heart. I beg of you. Su Yu bowed, after which he turned and stepped onto the eternal stairs. She stared blankly at Su Yu as he disappeared on the stairs. Mo Wu's heart was pounding. It was as if she had lost something, causing her to suffocate. No, Su Yu, don't go. Mo Wu's voice was trembling. Her sorrowful cry reverberated in the sky, but the only response she got was an empty stairway. Roar, Walala. In the azure lake, the water of the lake hit the sky. The white tiger was trapped for a moment, but it finally escaped. It contained a shocking, killing intent, its roar shaking the heavens. A terrifying thunderbolt descended in all directions. Rumble. Wherever the black thunderbolt descended, it was reduced to nothingness. Ji Hongxue and the other 3 were trapped in the thunderbolt zone. Seeing as the thunderbolt struck them, there was no way to escape. Not good. The white tiger has unleashed its might. We cannot stay here any longer. Quickly kill ourselves and leave the ancient temple. Ji Hongxue's expression changed. The thunderbolt was dangerous and could kill them instantly. Unable to be transported, they could only kill themselves to leave as soon as possible. After which, Ji Hongxue slammed his palm on his forehead before a thunderbolt struck. The ancient temple sensed that he was in danger and immediately released a ray of light, transporting him away. Chao Xian and Shun Jiuyin left one after another. Mo Wu sobbed and muttered. Su Yu, you must return. Rumble. Bolstered by the thunderbolt, the four of them successfully left at the most critical moment. Whoosh, whoosh, in the outside world. A white light flickered. The expressions of the faction master and the rest changed. The appearance of the four great disciples caused their hearts to sink. What happened? There is still a month left. Why did all of you teleport out? The Lucian faction master asked anxiously. What kind of loss was it to lose a month of training? Ji Hongxue was ashamed. Master, a white tiger descended. To avoid death, we voluntarily left. White tiger. It has been here for many years and has never harmed anyone. Why would it harm all of you for no reason? The Lucian faction master was suspicious. Chao Xian clenched his fists, viciously saying, it was Su Yu who infuriated the white tiger, causing us to be implicated. They had not completely enjoyed the benefits of the ancient temple when they were implicated by Su Yu. Han Ji was furious. D***, spoiling the future of my disciple. I will not forgive him. The great elder glanced at Shun Jiuyin, his cultivation level not changing. His expression sank. Jiuyin, is the situation like this? Even though Shun Jiuyin had obtained a white dragon plant, he was implicated. How could he not be resentful? Furiously replying, more or less. Ji Hongxue's lips parted, unable to retort. They were indeed implicated by Su Yu. That was undeniable. At the scene, only the second elder was stunned. Her eyes looked at her only beloved disciple, Mo Wu, in disbelief. In her memory, her serious disciple's shoulders were trembling, and she was weeping silently. Her emotionless eyes were filled with tears, filled with sorrow. Mo Wu, what happened? Oh, Master, Su Yu entered the eternal stairs. Mo Wu could no longer suppress the sorrow in her heart. She let out a whimper, like a little girl who had lost her best friend. She threw herself into the second elder's embrace, crying loudly in front of everyone. What? Eternal stairs? The second elder's petite body swayed. She was in a daze, stumbling backward. Her pale eyes were filled with panic. Why did he? The second elder did not continue speaking. She understood Su Yu's motive. Phoenix blood elixir. Why didn't you stop him? The second elder scolded in a daze. Mo Wu was bitter, because if Xiener died, he would have no one to live for in this world. Xiener, the second elder muttered. Her eyes gradually dimmed, filled with sorrow. That afternoon, under the bright sun, the silver-haired youth who asked about the rules of the depository of scriptures with a smile, would he never return? That pair of clear eyes, that gaze that did not belittle her, that gaze that warmed her heart, would he never appear again? At this moment, the second elder felt as if she had lost something. Her heart felt empty. He entered the eternal stairs. The Lucian faction master was stunned, after which he sighed, what a pity for a seedling. Those who entered the eternal stairs had no chance of survival. Many of the elders and disciples who had witnessed Su Yu's miraculous steps, fighting his way into the top 10, felt pity. The 10th elder heaved a sigh of relief, mocking, sacrificing everything for a woman. Ha! He is just like his master, hopelessly stupid. Beside her, Shi Ruolin let out a relaxed smile. Su Yu's death made her feel at ease. Eternal stairs. The moment Su Yu entered, he entered a mysterious space. The world was a dazzling white. He was standing on a never-ending white flight of stairs. There were stairs in front and behind him. In this world, there were only stairs left. So he tried to walk a few steps, but there was no change at the end. Chapter 201. With a glint in his eyes, Su Yu revolved his spirit energy. He was shocked to discover that the spirit energy had disappeared. Yes, the Dantian was completely empty. There wasn't even a trace of spiritual chi left. Yin Yazi, what is going on? Su Yu's heart skipped a beat as he asked, but there was no response for a long time. Looking down, the jade box in his robes, and Yin Yazi's soul had disappeared. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Even Yin Yazi was gone. Carefully searching, Su Yu discovered that all items that could be used with spirit energy, such as the divine ice ring, had disappeared. He was no different from a mortal. What kind of mysterious place was the eternal stairs? After thinking for a long time, Suyu knew that to find the answer, he could only move forward. If he could reach the final step, he might be able to resolve his predicament. After walking for half a day, Suyu was exhausted, but there was no sign of the end of the stairs. What made Suyu even more fearful was that he was still in the same spot. No matter how many steps he took, there would always be a few more steps in front of him. No matter how much he walked, he could not reach the end. It was as if this was an eternal world. Without spirit energy, treasures, or external help, it was as if he had been abandoned in the eternal kingdom, an endless loop on the stairs. Worse still, Suyu felt hungry and thirsty. Without anything in his body, Suyu would die on the stairs. No wonder it was known as the forbidden land of never returning. Stripped of spirit energy, treasures, and everything else he could rely on, walking on the path of no return. Anyone would die here. I cannot die. Sienna is waiting for me. Suyu persisted with his willpower. 2 days later, Suyu's stomach was rumbling with hunger, his body weak. 2 days without a drop of water, his body had reached its limit. But it was the same as before. This was an eternal staircase. It was impossible to walk to the end. Plop! Suyu slumped to the ground, his thoughts beginning to blur. This was a sign of death. No, I cannot die. Suyu bit the tip of his tongue, trying to clear his mind. No, since the 3rd level exists, there must be a reason for it to exist, not to trap people to death. Furthermore, in these 2 days, I have not seen a single corpse that had fallen here. Something is amiss, and I have overlooked it. Suyu thought as he racked his brain. After a long while, Suyu's mind quivered. I have overlooked something very important. A reference. There is no point of reference to prove that I have advanced. All I see are snow-white stairs, so I'm unable to make an accurate judgment. All the judgments that I have made that I am advancing are from my senses, and the senses can be influenced. Suyu's eyes became brighter and brighter, and his brain became faster and faster. At this moment, he needed a reference to verify his thoughts. Clenching his teeth, Suyu bit his finger and let his blood drip onto the stairs. He wanted to use his blood as a reference, but it was immediately absorbed by the stairs. After thinking for a moment, Suyu tore off another piece of cloth, dropped it on the stairs, and disappeared as well. Recalling the disappearance of the spiritual energy and the divine artifact, Suyu muttered, "Everything that belongs to me has been assimilated by the stairs. Once I take it out, it will disappear unless I take out external objects." However, his worldly possessions had all disappeared. Suyu had fallen into a dead end. At that moment, a bolt of lightning flashed past Suyu's mind. He had an external object, and it was very likely that it had not disappeared. Suyu let out a low grunt as he revolved the power of his flesh and blood to compress his abdomen. Not long after, a layer of faint black particles seeped out from his pores. This was the Black Wind Pill, the ancient pill that Suyu had obtained in the meteorite forest. As it had lost its use, Suyu sealed it in ice, preparing to find an opportunity to expel it from his body. It was an external object of Suyu's, but it was hidden deep within Suyu's abdomen. Hence, it had not been discovered by the eternal stairs. At that moment, it had been suppressed by the power of his flesh and blood, turning into particles and being expelled from his pores. A handful of black particles landed on the stairs, and indeed they had not disappeared. In the snow-white world, the pitch-black particles were extremely eye-catching. Staring at the black particles beneath his feet, Suyu's eyes flashed as he stepped onto the next step. However, what was strange was that even though he had clearly stepped onto another step, the black particles were still beneath his feet. Their position, shape, number of particles, and distance from his feet had not changed in the slightest. It was not that the particles had followed Suyu as he stepped onto the next step. Instead, Suyu was walking on the same spot. In his senses, Suyu was moving forward. However, the black particles as a reference told Suyu that he had been walking on the same spot for the past 2 days and 2 nights. He had not moved a single step. Something is deceiving my senses. Suyu finally concluded the problem. At the moment when Suyu understood, a strange scene appeared. Large black cracks appeared in the white world, as if a mirror had shattered. Crack. The white world turned into fragments, flying in all directions. Suyu closed his eyes subconsciously. When he opened them again, he realized that he was standing in front of an ancient, broken Buddhist statue. On the Buddhist statue, there was a palm print, which had split it into pieces. Another palm print. At the same time, Suyu saw a horrifying scene from the corner of his eyes. Beneath his feet, there were corpses of different ages lying in disorder. Among them, most of the clothes had the emblem of the Lucian faction on them. These are the disciples who had come here to train. They have all died here. Suyu was shocked. Unsurprisingly, they had all died of hunger and thirst. In the white world, they had walked to their deaths, not realizing that they had not moved from their original spot. In reality, they had not moved a single step in front of the Buddha statue and had starved to death. Only Suyu had come to his senses and had successfully returned to reality. After waiting bitterly for 1,000 years, there is finally someone who has gathered wisdom and opportunity to break through the final stage. A solemn voice suddenly floated into his ears. Suyu's pupils shrank. The person who had spoken was the Buddha statue in front of him. The clay Buddha statue opened its eyes, its lips moving as it opened its mouth to speak. Fated person, as the ultimate reward of the ancient Xianyan temple, you can choose a cultivation technique to take away and cultivate, passing it down. Whoosh! 2 cultivation techniques landed in front of Suyu. Cultivation techniques? Suyu was curious, but when he took a closer look, he gasped. Both of them were complete, immortal-level cultivation techniques. The one on the left was called Devil's Pagoda, an immortal-level cultivation technique of the Buddhist faction. It was split into 3 levels. Level 1, Demonic Heart. After cultivating the demonic heart, as long as the body was intact, any injuries could be healed by the demonic heart. It was the legendary Undying Heart. Level 2, Demonic Body. After cultivating the demonic body, the flesh and blood were refined to the extreme, and the body was invincible. Any missing parts could be regenerated, and it was the legendary Undying Body. Level 3, Demonic Face. After cultivating the demonic face, the demonic nature was stimulated, and the abilities of the cultivator would temporarily increase by 3 levels, allowing the cultivator to kill enemies of a higher level. After reading it, Suyu was shocked beyond words. An undying heart and an undying body were just legends in ancient books. The heaven-defying abilities of the 3rd level, the demonic face, shocked Suyu. A temporary increase of 3 cultivation levels? This was heaven-defying, concealing the shock in his heart. Suyu looked at the 2nd immortal-level cultivation technique. If the first one was earth-shattering, how shocking would the second one be? Chapter 202. His gaze landed on the 2nd book. 3 Clones of Indifference, an immortal-level cultivation technique of the Buddhist faction. It was divided into 3 levels. Level 1. Severing emotions. Training to level 1. Severing the emotions in one's heart would allow one to create a clone with the same battle power as the main body. Level 2. Killing emotions. Training to level 2 could create a 2nd clone with the battle power 1 level higher than the main body. Level 2. Forgetting emotions. Training to level 3 could create a 3rd clone with the battle power 1 level higher than the main body. Suyu's mouth went dry after reading it. Training 3 clones of indifference to the final stage would allow one to create 3 clones? Furthermore, each clone was stronger than the last. 2 immortal-level cultivation techniques, absolutely heaven-defying. Devil's Pagoda was known as the Undying Divine Book. 3 clones of indifference was known as the Clone Demonic Scripture. Is this the legendary immortal-level cultivation technique? Suyu was deeply shocked by its godly power. Compared to them, legacy-level cultivation techniques were like child's fighting moves. But Suyu was always calm. After the shock, his eyes quickly regained their calm. Can I take a look at the detailed introduction? Like the difficulty and requirements of the cultivation? Suyu asked. The Buddha statue was silent for a moment before hesitating. Sure. Walala. The two immortal level cultivation techniques flipped open, detailing the cultivation difficulty. Devil's Pagoda was difficult to cultivate. Those with high levels of comprehension could cultivate Stage 1 top class in 3 years, Stage 2 top class in 10 years, and Stage 2 top class in 20 years. Suyu raised his brows, deeply surprised. The cultivation difficulty was even lower than a normal legacy-level cultivation technique. Stage 1 top class of a normal legacy-level cultivation technique could be achieved in 5 years. Only Suyu's glazed ice flame required tens or even hundreds of years. How could the cultivation difficulty of an immortal level cultivation technique be lower than a normal legacy-level cultivation technique? Filled with doubts, Suyu continued reading. Cultivation requirements. Massacre. To cultivate the undying heart, one needed to swallow 99 hearts of the same level. To cultivate the undying body, one needed to eat 999 bodies of the same level. To cultivate the demonic face, one needed to refine 9,999 bodies of the same level and refine them into elixirs. Thud, thud. So you took a few steps back, his face turning pale with fright. Only by eating human hearts, eating human flesh, and refining human flesh pills could one cultivate? With a pale face, Suyu looked at the second book, 3 clones of indifferent scripture. To cultivate the emotion-severing doppelganger, one would need to sever all familial ties. In order to cultivate the emotion-slaying clone, one had to kill all friendships. To cultivate the emotionless doppelganger, one needs to forget all love. In other words, it was necessary to sever all emotions and desires. Rub, rub, rub. So you took another 2 steps back. He needed to forget about his kinship with the Duke of Xinyu, forget about his friendship with Xia Jingyu, forget about his love for Qin Xian'er, and cut off all his humanity in order to train. You've seen the cultivation technique. How do you choose? The Buddha's statue gave Suyu a choice. Suyu's boiling blood froze at this moment. One immortal level cultivation method required one to eat people, while the other required one to cut off one's humanity. As a Buddhist technique, why was it so vicious and cruel? Suddenly, Suyu lowered his head and looked at the pure white bones beneath his feet. His heart turned cold. Is there really a Buddha in front of me? Was the cultivation technique that he had imparted truly a Buddhist cultivation technique? Answer, the Buddha statue urged. So he took a deep breath. The last bit of passion in his eyes was extinguished, returning to his usual coldness. I refuse. Why? Among the immortal level cultivation techniques, they're considered the best. They can help you stand at the top of the continent. The Buddha statue was slightly stunned. Suyu calmly shook his head. Becoming a strong martial artist is my life's goal. But sacrificing what I love, what I cherish, losing my humanity, devouring human flesh, and becoming a demonic being is not what I want. In life, the most beautiful thing was not the moment when one stood at the top. It was the scenery along the way. The scenery Suyu had seen along the way was the people he had met and the unforgettable emotions. Hence, even if the 2 immortal level cultivation techniques were shocking, Suyu's heart would still tell him how to choose. But the Buddha's statue was silent for a moment before revealing a smile. Congratulations, you have passed the final test. Suyu was stunned. Wasn't the eternal stairs the ultimate test of the ancient Xianyan temple? Creak. Suddenly, in front of the Buddha's statue, the Devil's Pagoda mantra and the 3 clones of indifference shattered like a mirror, turning into countless fragments. Like the eternal stairs, the fragments disappeared. These 2 books are the most evil demonic techniques of the world. They have long been destroyed in time and space. What you saw was merely an illusion. Even the ancient temple does not have a complete volume, only a remnant of it. Suyu was stunned, feeling slightly disappointed. He had thought that he was fortunate enough to see a complete immortal level cultivation technique. But thinking about it, Suyu understood. In the hundreds of years of the Lucian faction, they had only obtained a remnant volume of an immortal level cultivation technique. If a mere disciple like him could easily obtain 2 complete volumes, it would be too unbelievable. Using the demonic technique is a test for you. If you can withstand the temptation of the demonic technique, you will pass. The Buddha statue revealed a smile. The corpses beneath your feet did not die at the eternal stairs. When they were on the brink of death, they would naturally be transported here from the eternal stairs to accept the demonic technique's temptation test. But it is a pity that no one could pass the test. They chose the demonic technique and stayed here to comprehend it, unwilling to leave and dying of hunger and thirst. Suyu was stunned. He had thought that these people had died from being trapped in the eternal stairs. He did not expect them to die from their greed. It was no wonder. How shocking was an immortal-level cultivation technique. How could a normal disciple protect their spirits when encountering it? If they cultivated to the point of being possessed and refused to be transported out, they would die of hunger and thirst in the ancient temple without food or water. You have outstanding intelligence, seeing through the mysteries of the eternal stairs. You have righteousness in your heart, resisting the temptation of the demonic technique. You are the best candidate to inherit the legacy. Crack. The Buddha's statue cracked about to shatter. A weak but gratified sigh came from within the Buddha's statue. After so many years, my mission has finally been completed. Junior, take it. Whoosh! Within the crack, a ball of green light floated in front of Suyu. Suyu was slightly stunned. He grabbed the ball of light, and a remnant volume appeared in his palm. Buddhist saints, 8 characters? What technique is this? Suyu was surprised. The remnant volume was completely golden, made of an unknown material, but it was only 3 pages long. Apart from the book's title, there was no indication of the level of the technique. Junior, I hope that you will gain something in your lifetime. Even a master of the ancient temple could not successfully cultivate this scroll. You take it. I have guarded it for 1,000 years and have not let you down. A desolate sigh pierced through the small palace. Hoo! A sound of destruction could be heard from within the Buddha's statue. That was the sound of a soul being destroyed. Suyu thanked the Buddha. Thank you, Elder, for the scroll. Within the empty crowd, only Suyu was left. But Suyu did not immediately flip through the mysterious ancient scroll. Instead, he bent down and examined the corpses on the ground. One of them was definitely the disciple who had brought the phoenix blood elixir into the temple. Seniors, sorry for offending you. Suyu was nervous and filled with anticipation. Divine ice threads shot out, cutting their clothes. Creak! The sky was filled with torn clothes flying everywhere. Their belongings were also lifted. Suyu revolved his crystalline pupils, observing down to the smallest detail. Suddenly, a jade box flew out from the clothes of one of the fresher corpses. Within the jade box, there was a bright red elixir burning with a faint flame. Shreds of pure, scorching energy penetrated the jade box. The masculine energy filled the surroundings, causing the dark and damp palace to feel warm. Phoenix blood elixir. The masculine energy that Sienna urgently needed proved that this was the Phoenix blood elixir that Suyu had been searching for. Hard work paid off. After many twists and turns, Suyu had finally found the Phoenix blood elixir. After decades, even though the medicinal effects were much weaker, it was the only hope of saving Sienna. Even with Suyu's calmness, he could not help but be overjoyed. No one knew how much suffering he had gone through to obtain this elixir. He had obtained the faction's trust, fought for a spot in the competition, and fought against the geniuses of the faction. He had carried out the mission at the Wulong snowfield, faced many dangers, entered the abyss of Wudong, and fought for the right to enter the ancient Xinyan temple. He had entered the eternal stairs with the determination to die. Finally, he had found the Phoenix blood elixir. Whoosh! Suyu was excited, flying toward it. But just as Suyu was about to grab it, a cheerful and childish singing came from afar. 2 little bees flying among the flowers, buzzing, 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 buzzing. Eat. From the corner of his eyes, he saw a bird the size of a duck, covered in colorful feathers, its body burning with raging flames. It was bouncing and chasing after the 2 little bees, charging into the palace. Its actions were clumsy, cute, and adorable. Furthermore, its appearance was gorgeous. Suyu had never seen such a beautiful flaming bird. Suddenly, the adorable bird's eyes turned, suddenly looking at the phoenix blood elixir. Its singing stopped abruptly, replaced by a joyful voice. Ah, such pure phoenix blood. I want to eat it. Not good. Suyu's expression changed. The divine ice threads wrapped around the jade box. Just as Suyu was about to pull it back, the adorable bird glared, angrily muttering, "You stole my snacks, bad guy." Oh, the adorable bird opened its mouth and spat out a ball of red raging flames. Bang! A scene that made Suyu gasp appeared. The divine ice threads were broken. The divine artifact, divine ice threads, had been melted by a tiny bit of flame. What kind of terrifying flame could destroy a divine artifact? From within the flame, Suyu could feel an aura of destruction that made his skin crawl. An aura that surpasses the dragon realm. It was a terrifying aura that was even more terrifying than the white tiger. Suyu's scalp turned numb. The white tiger of the second level, the firebird of the third level. Each was more terrifying than the other. Was the ancient Xianyun temple really just a training ground for the Lucian faction? Whoosh! The firebird looked clumsy, but in that instant, it sliced through the air as if it had teleported to the front of the jade box. With a bite from its small beak, the jade box shattered. The phoenix blood elixir tumbled out. Wow! The firebird opened its beak with a smile, swallowing the elixir on the spot. Its small eyes squinted, happily closing its eyes in enjoyment. It's delicious. No, my phoenix blood elixir. Suyu cried out in shock. The phoenix blood elixir that he had worked so hard for had been eaten by a bird. Crack! Suyu's heart felt as if something had shattered. He knew that it was the hope to save Xianyun. The moment he lost the phoenix blood elixir, Suyu also lost Xianyun. The only phoenix blood elixir that could save Xianyun was eaten just like that. Suyu's pupils gradually dilated, as if he was a puppet that had lost its soul. His mind was blank. If he lost the phoenix blood elixir, who would save Xianyun? Could it be that he would have to watch Xianyun die a month later? No. Suyu's chest burned with unwillingness, as if it wanted to burn him into ashes. He had destroyed all the hardships and worked so hard. How could he let everything go to waste? I'll kill you. There was still time. Before the elixir was digested, he would cut open the firebird's stomach and retrieve the elixir. Even if the effects of the elixir had weakened, it was enough. But Suyu, who had sunk into madness, still maintained his rationality. The firebird was too strong. It was so strong that it could be erased from the world with a thought. At that moment, the satisfied firebird was hopping toward the outside of the temple. Creak! Suyu took out a bottle of 5-color spiritual liquid. It was the 5-color honey. He quickly poured out half of it and hid the other half in his robes. Walala, walala! It smells so good. The firebird's cheerful song stopped abruptly, turning around in surprise. Her 2 black eyes stared, drool dripping from the corners of her mouth. It smells so good. I want to eat, I want to eat. Crash! The firebird flashed over once again, pecking with all its might with its sharp beak. In no time, it had swallowed all of the 5-color honey on the ground. Its eyes were filled with excitement, intoxication written all over its face. Its legs swayed as it groaned dizzily at Suyu. I want to eat more. Hand it over. I'll rob you. Suyu's expression turned serious. It had consumed half a bottle, but it was still not drunk. It had been unconscious for half a month. Suyu's eyes flashed as he took out the last half of the bottle. Wow! The firebird was pleasantly surprised. It broke the jade bottle with its beak, opening its mouth to swallow the whole 5-color honey. Oh, so delicious. So many little stars after eating. The firebird swayed, spinning on the spot, shouting drunkenly. I want more. The firebird was still not completely drunk. Suyu was anxious. He had used up all of the 5-color honey, but the firebird was still not drunk. Suyu could only cut open the stomach of the fainted firebird. Chapter 203. Quick, hand it over, or I will burn you. The firebird mumbled innocently. Suddenly, Suyu's gaze flickered. There's still 3 bottles. They were snatched away by the white tiger on the second level. It has a whole pool of honey in its house. You can have as many as you want. A whole pool. The firebird's black eyes glowed. I want to go to Xiao Hu's house. Xiao Hu's house. The firebird stumbled as it left the palace. Suyu followed closely. He then realized that the 3rd level was actually a piece of sky. Behind him, an ancient temple that was extremely similar to the ancient Xianyun temple in the outside world floated quietly among the clouds. This was the true core of the ancient temple. The firebird flew around randomly, unable to find the exit. After a while, it tilted its head and mumbled angrily, I forgot that I cannot return to the 2nd level without an advancement stone. There were 3 levels in the ancient Xianyun temple. One could only enter the higher levels from the lower levels. Suyu's heart skipped a beat. The firebird's words were clear. It was a sign that it was gradually awakening. What a strong body. It had recovered so quickly after consuming 2/3 of the 5-color honey. He could not wait any longer. I have a way to get to the 1st level. Suyu took out 2 advancement stones. In the last meteorite, Suyu finally obtained 2 advancement stones. After crushing it, he could be transported to the 2nd level. This technique could be used on the 3rd level as well. Advancement stone? You're a good person. Quick, 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 I want to find Xiao Hu. The firebird urged anxiously. Suyu nodded, crushing 2 advancement stones at the same time. Creak! The space shifted. The 2 of them left the 3rd level and entered the sky garden on the 2nd level. Furthermore, it was at the bottom of the eternal stairs. The white tiger had been waiting there. The moment Suyu descended, it let out a ferocious laugh. Damned ant, you are really tenacious to come back alive. Die. But the white tiger's voice stopped abruptly, its eyes fixed on the small firebird beside Suyu. But it's you, firebird? You actually disobeyed your master's orders and left the 3rd level. Master? Who was the firebird's master? The firebird was dizzy. When it saw the white tiger, it flew over angrily. Hand over the 5-color honey, or I will burn you to death. Wait! The white tiger's gaze turned serious and landed on Suyu. At once, it had an ominous glint. Damn thing. Did you trick her into leaving the 3rd level and lure her to deal with me? Humph. He's a good man, a very good man. If you say bad things about him, then you're a bad tiger. I'll burn you to death. The firebird swayed and spat out a ball of flame. The white tiger's expression changed drastically, and its eyes were filled with rare fear. World-extinguishing thunderbolt. The terrifying thunderbolt had almost turned Suyu into ashes with just a wisp of it. Now, thousands of lightning bolts were attacking the firebird at the same time. However, no one knew what the firebird's flames were. The terrifying black lightning was turned into nothingness by the flames. Boom! Ah! The white tiger was engulfed in flames and let out a blood-curdling screech. Suddenly, the ancient temple sensed that the white tiger was in mortal danger. It condensed a layer of white light and teleported it out. No! The white tiger roared angrily. It had a mission to complete, so how could it be forced to leave? However, the teleportation was imminent, so it could only struggle in vain. Finally, his ferocious gaze landed on Suyu's body. Damned thing, you ruined Master's plans. You'll die a horrible death. Rumble. Finally, it was teleported away. Suyu heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he was shocked by the firebird abilities. However, Suyu let out a bitter laugh. He had wanted the firebird to fight the white tiger, but the white tiger had been defeated in one move. Hee, let's go to Xiao Hu's house. The firebird cheered excitedly, wobbling as it flew toward the deepest part of the sky garden. Suyu clenched his teeth and followed. The last fence was where the ice and fire divine herbs were planted. Back then, from 50 miles away, Suyu had activated the cultivation technique in his body with just a sniff. Its effects were nature-defying, far surpassing the icy flames. However, with the white tiger's protection, no one could covet it. Descending beyond the fence, the fragrance assaulted his senses. Taking a sniff, Suyu's eyes glowed with surprise. The three ice-based cultivation techniques were activated at high speeds at the same time. If he were to comprehend them now, Suyu was confident that he could break through to stage 3 within half a month. What kind of divine herb was this for it to be so terrifying? However, Suyu's mission was the phoenix blood elixir in the firebird's stomach. The firebird excitedly charged into the yard. However, an invisible wall caused the firebird to groan in pain as it was repelled. Looking over, it was a powerful, transparent light screen protecting the fence in the middle. Suyu gasped. Even existence like the firebird was repelled. I'm so angry. How dare you block my way? I'll burn you to death. The firebird angrily opened its mouth, spitting out terrifying flames. The flames that had instantly destroyed the white tiger engulfed the area. Crackle! The light screen shook violently, emitting a burning sound. A crack had been burned out, but the light screen was extremely powerful. With a sudden flick, it repelled all the flames. The firebird was drunk and caught off guard. In a daze, it was hit by its own flames. Rumble. Under the violent shockwave, the firebird was smashed into the ground. Suyu looked over. The firebird was unscathed, not a single strand of hair missing. But under the effects of the intense impact and the 5-color honey, it had fallen unconscious. Suyu was overjoyed. This was the situation he wanted. Whoosh! Suyu flew closer, taking out a dagger, wanting to cut open the firebird's chest. But as the dagger neared, he hesitated. The firebird was charmingly naive, but he was hesitant. The firebird did not seem ferocious. Compared to the white tiger, it was kinder. Even though he was not a good person, he did not wish to kill the innocent. But thinking of Sienna, Suyu bit his teeth, finally waving the dagger. Sorry, for the phoenix blood elixir. As Suyu was waving the dagger, Yun Yazi's voice came from his chest. If you wish to find a phoenix blood elixir, it's too late. With its digestive abilities, the elixir would have been digested the moment it entered its mouth. Suyu froze, the dagger in his hand slipping silently. Already digested, Suyu's body trembled uncontrollably, his eyes dimming, as if he had lost his light and was about to die. At this moment, Suyu's body was cold, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He had finally managed to make the firebird faint, only to receive such an answer. Heavens, do you really want to kill me? Suyu let out a furious roar. At the end of the day, he had still lost. In the battle at the icy azure lake, all his hard work had gone to waste. Can you tell me why you are so obsessed with the phoenix blood elixir? For that woman called Sienna? Yun Yazi had been paying attention to everything that was happening outside. He faintly knew that Suyu's goal was the phoenix blood elixir, to save the girl called Sienna. Suyu was absent-minded, muttering to himself like a puppet. Hearing this, Yun Yazi smacked his lips. Oh, so it's because the phoenix of death constitution requires phoenix blood to replenish itself. Hence, it needs a drop of phoenix blood refined from the phoenix blood elixir? Suyu nodded blankly, his face full of sorrow. But it's all too late. The last drop of phoenix blood is gone. Who knew that Yun Yazi would laugh heartily after hearing this? His laughter was clear, as if he had heard a joke. Ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. I have not heard such a joke in a long time. Suyu laughed at himself. That's right, what a joke. In the end, it's just a meaningless struggle. No, what I'm saying is that you have eyes but fail to recognize Mount Tai. Yun Yazi looked as if he had not laughed so heartily in a long time, to the point that he could not stop laughing. He. This is the first time I've seen a real phoenix placed in front of you, yet you want to cut open the phoenix's stomach to retrieve the phoenix blood elixir. All for a drop of phoenix blood that is so weak that it can be ignored. Ugh. Suyu's body trembled, lowering his head to look at the firebird beneath his feet in disbelief. His eyes widened. You're saying that this silly firebird is the legendary immortal spirit? The legendary phoenix? Suyu found this answer hard to believe. Yun Yazi mocked. What do you think? Suyu looked closely. The firebird had colorful wings, and its body was covered in flames. Wasn't this the description of the legendary phoenix? But it was not as magnificent and elegant as it was depicted. This is indeed a phoenix, but it is not a real spirit. There are no real spirits in the Jinlong continent. This phoenix has only inherited 1% of the bloodline of the real phoenix. Yin Yazi shook his head. In reality, the legendary immortal spirits in the Jinlong continent are mostly spiritual beasts that have inherited the bloodline of the real spirit. Real spirits do not exist in the Jinlong continent. But 1% of the bloodline is more than enough to save your little girlfriend 100 times over. Yin Yazi smiled. Suyu's mouth went dry. He had actually encountered a real phoenix. A phoenix that only existed in ancient books. A legendary phoenix. Then should I release its blood? Suyu was excited. Yin Yazi waved his hands. No need. The most precious part of the phoenix are the 3 feathers on its tail. They contain more than 30% of the blood of the real spirit. You can just take the feathers. If you kill this phoenix, I'm afraid there will be trouble. After all, the phoenix was a spirit with a master. If he killed it, its master would seek revenge in the future, and there would be no turning back. Moreover, to possess a spiritual being like the phoenix, its master's abilities were unimaginable. Suyu's eyes flashed as he took the 3 feathers from the phoenix's tail. The feathers contained a layer of scorching red liquid. It was the purest blood of the real phoenix. Siener, you can be saved. Suyu's heart was thumping, his emotions unprecedentedly excited. Siener's life was like a mountain pressing on Suyu's heart, making it difficult for him to breathe. Now he had finally gotten what he deserved. Suyu's eyes flashed as he threw the unconscious phoenix into the 3rd level of the eternal stairs. Without an advancement stone, it could not leave. Suyu returned to the fence. He stared at the ice and fire herbs, his eyes filled with anticipation. Elder Yun Yazi, what are these divine herbs? Suyu stared at the icy divine herb, his eyes glowing. His instincts told him that if he consumed the icy divine herb, his 3 ice-based cultivation techniques would reach the top class. Yun Yazi calmly said, "It is a true divine herb called the Ice-Fire Dragon Herb. It is incomparable to your divine dragon herb. In terms of value, it is about the same as a legendary level cultivation technique." Rumble. Suyu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Deity, legendary level cultivation technique. Martial cultivation techniques were divided into low, medium, high, saint, and deity levels. Spirit level techniques were divided into legacy, immortal, and legendary level. Suyu had not even come into contact with a real immortal level cultivation technique. At this moment, there were 2 divine herbs that were worth the same as a legendary level cultivation technique in front of him. Yes, the value is about the same, Yin Yazi calmly said. You should be able to exchange one of them for a remnant of a legendary level cultivation technique. Suyu's heart was thumping, his blood boiling. But at this moment, Yin Yazi poured a bucket of cold water on him, leisurely saying, "But I advise you not to think about it.